Chapter 93. On July 10, 6:10 p.m. Beijing Television Studio Hall backstage. In another hour and 20 minutes, Beijing Television's first entertainment reality talent show, Singing China, the qualifying round of the Beijing division will be broadcast live in the big studio. Beijing Television is the first TV station in China, so it has a wide and good influence in China and Asia. Relying on the huge advantages of the local TV station in the capital, its comprehensive strength has always been in the forefront of major TV stations. But in the past 5 years, with the increasing popularity of variety entertainment programs, Shonan TV, Donghai Satellite TV, Jiangning Satellite TV and other local satellite TV stations have risen rapidly, occupying a large share of the market, but also seriously reducing the survival space of Beijing Television. Especially Shonan TV, which is famous for producing variety shows. Since 2008, Shonan TV has successively launched Supergirl, Superboy, National New Idol, and other popular talent competitions. Not only has it achieved great success, but it has also launched a number of well-known idol stars, and its ratings have topped all satellite TV stations. What makes Beijing Television lose face the most is that all the talent shows of Shonan TV will set up a division in Beijing. Every audition will be a gathering of thousands of people, and the scene will be very lively, which is really spectacular to the extreme. For Beijing Television, its own site has become a place for its competitors to show off, which is simply a slap in the face. What makes Beijing Television even more annoyed is that Donghai Satellite TV, Jiangning Satellite TV and other latecomers have also learned from them. They all regard the capital, a treasure land of feng shui, as a fat meat, and all of them have eaten until their mouths are full of oil. Under such circumstances, Beijing Television, which has always been proud, finally could not stand the declining ratings year by year. After 6 months of planning and preparation, it launched its own talent show for the first time, Singing China. The ambitious Beijing Television even fought with Shonan TV's Super Singer. For this show, Beijing Television has also put in a lot of money. Not only has it rebuilt the studio, but also the backstage has been expanded, which is much more spacious and comfortable than the original, enough to accommodate hundreds of contestants and staff. There were a total of 35 contestants participating in the first qualifying round of the Capital Division tonight. Including the family and friends who were present to support them, there were only about 100 people. Lu Qin was one of the 35 contestants in the first qualifier, and he was one of the few contestants who did not have a family. It wasn't that he didn't have friends in Beijing, but Li Feiyu wanted to help him broadcast the match on the internet. Sister Na and Qin Hanyang were very busy because of the recent popularity of the Bionics, so they didn't perform at the Forget Grass Bar, so Lu Qin didn't bother them. As for the others, most of them were not suitable. For example, Yi Zitong. Although the two of them had a good impression of each other, they had not established a real relationship. He could not bring her to the scene and show her in front of the whole nation, right? Lu Qin simply brought a guitar and single-handedly killed his way over. Relatively speaking, among the 35 contestants, Lu Qin's mentality was the most relaxed and peaceful. While he was resting on the bench and waiting, he observed the others calmly. Sitting on the right side of Lu Qin was a middle-aged man with a beard and messy hair. He wore a personalized t-shirt and worn jeans. He was dressed like a typical street singer. He was holding a guitar and bowing his head in silence. In front of him was a band group. The 5 members were very young, full of vitality. They were talking and laughing to encourage each other. They were excited and full of expectations for participating in the talent competition. In front of them, the staff and cameramen of the TV station were interviewing a contestant. All contestants had to pre-record a short video, which was the so-called VCR. The content of the video was mainly to introduce their situation. When it was time for the official broadcast, the director would select a few excerpts and intersperse them into the live broadcast. It was said to be a live broadcast, but in fact, it was not a real-time broadcast. The recording time and the broadcast time were about an hour apart. The advantage of this was that it was convenient to control and edit the content of the program, and it was not easy to have broadcast accidents. It was already very fast now. In the past, talent shows were often produced a few days or even a week in advance, and then dared to claim that it was a live broadcast when it was broadcast on the TV station. It was simply a monkey show. Although the production effect of recording and broadcasting a few days in advance was the best, the vast number of TV viewers were not fools. What they wanted to see was more real and direct content of the talent competition. They were increasingly disgusted with the procedural and routine program form and process, which led to a huge change in the situation of the live broadcast of the talent show. The previous qualifying and semi-finals were an hour in advance, and the elimination and final stages were 30 minutes at most. There was even a real live broadcast. Of course, this was a great test for any TV station. Without strong enough strength and a good enough behind-the-scenes team, it was impossible to play this kind of live talent show. The live VCR belonging to Lu Chen had just been recorded, and it only took a few minutes. It was a very simple thing, but the handsome man wearing glasses looked very nervous in front of the camera and the microphone. He stammered and couldn't express his meaning, which made the group of relatives and friends next to him anxious for him. However, compared to another female contestant sitting 4 or 5 meters to the left of Lu Chen, he was still fine. The girl, who was 18 or 19 years old, was so nervous that she cried, but she didn't dare to cry loudly. She just bowed her head and sobbed. She also had 2 best friends next to her, but they obviously didn't know how to comfort and speak. Their persuasion and encouragement for a long time had no effect, and they couldn't help but feel a little helpless. When other contestants nearby saw this, most of them felt it was funny, and some even showed a look of ridicule. How could she dare to go on stage to perform with such poor psychological quality? Lu Chen listened to them say a lot and finally understood. It turned out that this female contestant was probably very unlucky. Today's important day was not going well, which seriously affected her mood. Moreover, she didn't perform very well during the recording of the VCR. All kinds of emotions accumulated, so she collapsed before she even went on stage. Originally, the role of the group of relatives and friends was to support and encourage the contestants on the spot in addition to adding interest to the show. However, these 2 teammates were really unqualified. After thinking about it, Lu Chen stood up, walked over, and walked in front of the other party. He took out a bottle of peppermint gum from his pocket and handed it to the crying girl. He said, "Don't be too nervous. Have a gum. You will feel better after chewing it twice." The girl and her companions raised their heads in surprise. Lu Chen smiled slightly, reached out and opened the bottle cap, and said, "Try it." Scientific research has shown that the sincere and friendly smile of a handsome man or a beautiful woman can often resolve people's tension, fear, anxiety, and uneasiness. It is equivalent to a buff that boosts morale and effectively stimulates the secretion of dopamine and hormones. Although the above content was pure nonsense, Lu Chen's handsome and warm smile did make the girl relax. She was embarrassed to wipe away the tears overflowing from the corners of her eyes, and a shy blush appeared on her pretty face. The girl hesitated for a moment, but she still raised her small white and red hand and said, "Thank you." Her voice was very soft and sweet. It sounded like a melted milk candy, refreshing the heart and refreshed the mind when held in the mouth. Lu Chen poured a piece of chewing gum into her palm. This was the privilege of a handsome man. If Lu Chen was a wretched fat man or a thin otaku, it was estimated that no girl would be willing to take any candy from him. Lu Chen asked her companions, "Which university are you from?" They were so young and immature, and had no relatives to accompany them. 9 out of 10 were students studying in Beijing. The other party replied very enthusiastically, "We are all from the College of Foreign Languages," accompanying little Chu to participate in the competition. "Are you also a contestant, handsome?" Where did you study? Lu Qin said with a smile, I am also a contestant. I just graduated from Shanghai University this year. It turned out to be a graduating senior. The other party's eyes lit up and immediately pushed the girl next to him. Little Chu, ask the senior for his contact information. Maybe both of you can enter the finals. In fact, she really wanted it, but she was embarrassed to say it directly. Lu Qin smiled and exchanged QQ numbers with the three of them, adding each other as friends. He also knew the name of the shy girl. Mu Xiaochu. Chapter 94. The clock hanging on the wall firmly pointed the minute hand straight down to the number 6. At 6:30, the live recording of Beijing Television's first reality talent show, Singing China, officially began. The atmosphere in the backstage of the studio immediately became tense. The scene in the studio appeared on the ultra-wide screen, and the host appeared first. Beijing Satellite TV boldly used a new anchor named Xiao Shi to host the much-anticipated talent show. He was a little nervous and excited, but soon returned to his normal state. After finishing his passionate opening speech, Xiao Shi's expression froze as he looked straight ahead. Next, let's invite the first judge of tonight's Singing China with warm applause. The 1,500-seat auditorium of the studio has long been full of people. As soon as the host's voice fell, there was a tidal wave of applause from the audience to welcome the judges. Beijing Television has done enough gimmicks in the selection of judges. Unlike other peers, it did not publicize early and use the fame of the judges to carry out preheating hype. Instead, it deliberately maintained a sense of mystery and left suspense to the audience. No one will doubt the strength and connections of Beijing Television, and the invited judges must be heavyweights. However, Beijing Television has done a good job of confidentiality, so everyone will naturally make all kinds of conjectures, and discuss them in blogs, post bars, forums, and other places, thus forming enough topics. In terms of publicity, although Beijing Television is competing with Shonan TV, it has not lost much ground. The unveiling of the identity of the four judges is undoubtedly the biggest highlight of the live broadcast of the first qualifying round in Beijing tonight. Therefore, the audience's applause was particularly enthusiastic. The lights in the studio suddenly went out, and the whole stage was plunged into darkness. After a while, a bright spotlight hit the center of the stage from top to bottom. It landed on a man's body. He stood tall and straight with his back to the auditorium, and the logo of Singing China appeared on the huge background screen. The studio instantly quieted down. Host Xiao Zhi stood in the dark and could not be seen, but his voice echoed in everyone's ears. He has unquestionably superhuman talent. He is a famous singing superstar in Asia. He has won countless awards. His songs, which have accompanied a generation of people, are still classics. He is. The image on the big screen suddenly exploded, accompanied by an incomparably intense tremor. Two dazzling golden characters leapt out. Tan Hong. Tan Hong, the first judge of Singing China, turned out to be Tan Hong. No one had expected this, and everyone was pleasantly surprised. The lights were all turned on, and the applause that had just calmed down sounded again. It was getting more and more intense, forming a storm that threatened to blow the roof off. Many spectators stood up. They applauded and shouted Tan Hong's name. Tan Hong was born in the early 1970s and began to learn music at a very young age. At the age of 17, he won the championship of the National Youth Singing Competition and embarked on a bright career. It has been 25 years since his debut, and he has released a total of 17 original albums. Among them, the album Soaring Pigeon sold more than 5 million copies in 1999, which is regarded as the last glory of pop music record sales. Although Tan Hong is not very handsome, his voice is very recognizable, and he has outstanding creative talent. Many of his best-selling albums are all songs, and he has written many classic works such as Soaring Pigeon, After the Rain, The Prodigal Son, Changxiang Yi, Love, and so on. When he turned around under the spotlight with a smile on his face, the atmosphere of the audience suddenly reached a climax. In the backstage of the studio, many contestants and their relatives and friends stood up. Everyone's eyes were focused on the TV screen. Tan Hong, it's actually Tan Hong. I like Tan Hong's songs best. I really didn't expect him to be a judge. Beijing television is so awesome. I want an autograph. Among the excited crowd, there is also Lu Qin. He is also a fan of Tan Hong. Lu Qin didn't expect that Tan Hong would come to be a judge, and he didn't know what method Beijing television used. Although Tan Hong has been very popular for more than 10 years, he has an indifferent temperament, doesn't like to join in the fun, and basically doesn't participate in variety shows. In terms of personal feelings, he and his first girlfriend's wife help each other in difficult times, and there has been no scandal. In his 25 years of debut, he hasn't even shot a few commercials. Therefore, Tan Hong will be on the Singing China judges bench tonight, and tomorrow he will inevitably be on the entertainment headlines. Beijing television has been holding back for several years, and finally made a big move. Although Tan Hong has been in a semi-retired state in recent years, his popularity is still unbreakable, especially in the 1970s and 1980s, where he has the most loyal fans. It must be noted that Tan Hong first signed a contract with Juxing Corporation. He was cultivated by Jin Hongwei until he later fell out with the industry big shot. At that time, the lawsuit caused a lot of noise and caused a sensation all over the country. With Tan Hong's character and personality, he was so determined that it was intolerable. Tan Hong, who is in his 40s, is in the most attractive period of a successful man. He is no longer young, but his smile is still sincere, his eyes are still bright, and he is still so elegant. It evoked the memories of countless people. It can even be said that at the moment when Tan Hong appeared, Singing China has already achieved initial success. After Tan Hong took his seat, an LED light above the big stage lit up, showing his name. The applause continued, and the lights in the studio went out again. Host Zhao Zhe began to introduce the second judge. The previous Tan Hong has completely satisfied everyone's appetite, so who will the second judge be? Will he be overshadowed by Tan Hong? Now, no one knows the answer. Her singing is familiar to us, her beauty is the most beautiful scenery in the pop music world. She once set the highest record for the record sales of a domestic female singer, and it has not been broken so far. She is also Mr. Tan Hong's junior sister. She is Chen Fei. The name on the background screen has not yet been displayed, and many people in the audience have shouted out loud. Chen Fei. The second judge of Singing China is the famous Jade Girl singer, Chen Fei. Speaking of this big star in the singing world, there is really no one who doesn't know her. Chen Fei is famous for singing sweet songs and love songs. Her voice is sweet and moving, and her albums have repeatedly achieved good results. Unlike Tan Hong, after entering the internet era, Chen Fei is still active in the entertainment industry, and has vigorously developed in the field of film and television. She has appeared in many blockbusters and is also a spokesperson for many big brands. But the most interesting thing is that she and Tan Hong have a brother-sister relationship. The two have a very good relationship, but there is no scandal. Moreover, when Chen Fei terminated her contract with Juxing Corporation, if it were not for Tan Hong's full support, it would not have been so easy for her to get out. When Chen Fei's personal studio opened, Tan Hong even invited more than a dozen big names in the circle to come to support. As the second judge, she instantly dispelled everyone's concerns. There is a small joke circulating in the entertainment industry, saying that the person Jin Hongwei hates most is Tan Hong, but if Tan Hong is willing to return to Juxing Corporation, Jin Hongwei can directly kneel on the ground to welcome him. Tan Hong obviously didn't know that Chen Fei would appear here. He stood up in amazement, and then quickly returned to the big stage. Why are you here? Chen Fei is over 30 years old, but she looks like she is only in her 20s. She smiled sweetly, opened her arms and hugged Tan Hong, and said, "They said you were coming, so I came." These two simple sentences were enough to express the friendship between the two of them. The audience burst into thunderous applause, and many fans even shed tears of excitement, because they have seen this scene many times before, and it has long been in their memory. Now it has reappeared. Tan Hong and Chen Fei have made countless people believe that in addition to love, there is also true friendship between men and women. A friendship comparable to family love. Chapter 95. The combination of Tan Hong plus Chen Fei, two superstars, made the studio of Singing China instantly brighten. The response of the audience was naturally very enthusiastic. Everyone stood up and gave the warmest applause. The exciting scene lasted for several minutes before it ended. The host introduced the third judge. Although everyone was looking forward to Beijing Television's continuous breaking of big news, the two big singers were obviously enough to suppress the scene, and there was no need to add icing on the cake in this respect. The third judge of Singing China is Zhen Zhen, editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine. Over the past 30 years, the domestic pop music industry has undergone considerable development. Today's market has expanded to an unimaginable level before, and the scale of the industry is quite huge. Therefore, there are many newspapers and magazines related to pop music, which are distributed simultaneously both physically and online. And Pop Music magazine is undoubtedly one of the leading roles, and is recognized as an authoritative media in the industry. Its editor-in-chief, Zhen Zhen, used to be a famous musician and enjoyed a wide reputation in the industry. The fourth judge is Lin Jijie, the music director of Flying Stone Records. Flying Stone Records is one of the most famous record companies in China. It has produced many Heavenly King and Queen level singers. In the 1980s and 1990s, its music tape and CD sales have been in the forefront of the industry. After entering the internet era of the new century, the rise of a large number of emerging media made the operation of Flying Stone Records suffer unprecedented difficulties, and once faced the brink of bankruptcy. Later, the veteran record company learned from its mistakes, cut off its non-performing assets and redundant personnel, followed the trend, opened up a variety of new businesses, and was able to rejuvenate. In China and even in Asia, Flying Stone Records is still a resounding brand. Two men and two women, two superstars plus two authoritative media representatives, Beijing Television has undoubtedly taken great pains in the composition of the jury, and the structure can be described as perfect. After the four judges were in place, the first qualifying round of Singing China officially began. According to the rules, the qualifying round also adopts the judging system. From the end of the contestant singing on stage, if 3 or 4 judges do not light up a red light, it means that they have passed and successfully obtained the semi-final pass card. If 2 red lights were lit, the contestant would enter the waiting area. All the waiting contestants would be voted by the audience to decide who would get the last 3 lucky spots to enter the semi-finals. The first contestant was Xin Kai from the capital. He graduated from Beijing at the age of 24. He opened with an autumn love song, which won the cheers of the audience. He passed without a red card and got the first semi-final pass card. Then the second, the third, the qualifiers were different from the auditions. The contestants were carefully selected from thousands of people, so each had their own characteristics. Some had an outstanding appearance, some had a solid foundation, some could play and sing, and some could dance and sing. The attitude of the 4 judges was very serious and professional. There was no exaggerated emotional expression. Regardless of whether it was passed or rejected, they would give appropriate comments, praise, or encouragement. The reaction of the thousands of audience members was equally good. If they thought that the contestant sang well, they would applaud and even stand up to cheer. If they thought that the contestants sang poorly, they would remain silent or even boo, not giving them any face at all. There were a few contestants who were probably too nervous that their accents fluttered. As a result, they were booed to the point of breaking down on the spot. Such a scene could not be seen in the talent shows a few years ago. At that time, major satellite TV stations were frantically scrambling for variety resources and launched a large number of reality shows. In order to create gimmicks, they really did everything they could. The program team would pay special attention to the kind of good seedlings with bitter inspirational, weird personality, incurable disease, counterattacking the tall, rich and handsome, and other Korean drama-style plots to hype up the topic and enhance the effect. The contestants at that time were simply too embarrassed to greet people if they did not have a touching story. What if there was no story? It didn't matter. The scriptwriter of the program team would make one up for you. If you didn't cooperate and didn't want to fake it, then sorry, you would be eliminated in the next round. There was no reason to talk about it. Not only the contestants, but even the group of relatives and friends had to cooperate in acting sensationally. Most of the audience at the scene were acting. They were often intoxicated and cried. Their expressions were so exaggerated that people could not bear to see them, leading to a large number of teasing emojis on the internet. Many talent shows were even jokingly called King of the Most Tragic and China's Good Story by netizens. The contestants, the group of relatives and friends, and the live audience were all acting. Of course, the judges could not stay out of it. The program team had carefully designed the lines, actions, and even personalities for the judges. Some were keen to stir up trouble, some liked to act cute, some cried from time to time, and some were peacemakers. In any case, they just had to follow the script. As the so-called live broadcasts at that time were recorded a few days in advance, there was enough time for post-editing. Therefore, the fixed pattern of the contestants wiping their tears to stir up the emotions, the judges pretending to listen, the audience sobbing in the audience, and all kinds of gossip and breaking news spreading on the internet every few days, was not only easy to operate, but also looked informative and exciting. It was said that the behind-the-scenes editing and scriptwriter team of Shonan TV talent show had as many as 100 members. However, the majority of the television audience and netizens were not fools. They would be moved once or twice, and if they were moved 3 or 5 times, they would need to have their IQ topped up. After watching too much, they would naturally develop great disgust and resistance. Therefore, many talent shows that wanted to continue fooling the audience did not have much room to survive. If a news show wanted to win recognition, they had to work hard on timeliness and authenticity. They could not film a real talent show like a movie. They could have a story, they could have tears, they could be excited, and they could also be disdainful and mocking, but they could not fake it. In this regard, Beijing television did a good job. Although the recording and the live broadcast were separated by an hour, the reactions of both the judges and the audience were real. The contestants could not rely on a tragic story to make a comeback. Some contestants were eliminated after only 1 minute on stage, while others could interact with the judges and give them enough footage after singing. The treatment was very different. Such a difference in treatment did not mean that there was any shady business or unspoken rules, but it was based on the judges and the audience's evaluation of the contestants' performance, which was equally real and credible. And this sense of realism also gave considerable pressure to the contestants who were still waiting backstage to go on stage. Because there was a big screen TV hanging on the backstage wall, it was broadcasting the scene from the studio in real time, so everyone could see and hear the singing of the contestants who appeared in front of them. There was no rehearsal, no prior arrangement. Whether they performed well or not depended on their personal strength and psychological quality. If they sang well, they could gain popularity. If they sang poorly, they would lose face in front of the whole country. Lu Chen, who was also waiting, was interested to find that different people used different ways to decompress. Some closed their eyes to rest, some wore headphones to listen to music, some chattered with their relatives and friends, and some practiced repeatedly with the guitar, and some were even peeking at the handsome guy. Lu Qin turned his head and showed his 8 teeth to Mu Xiaochu. Mu Xiaochu was the contestant from Beijing Institute of Foreign Languages. She had just turned 19 this year, which was the best age for a girl. Her character was shy and cute, which made people always want to tease her. Looking at Lu Chen's eyes, Mu Xiaochu blushed, like a little girl who was caught stealing candy. But to Lu Chen's surprise, she did not choose to escape, but hesitated and took the initiative to get up and walk over. "Senior," the little girl asked softly and timidly, "can you accompany me with a song? I want to practice it again." Lu Chen could see that she made such a request with great courage, so he nodded without thinking and said, "No problem." "What song is it? I hope it's not too difficult." "It's not difficult, not difficult." Mu Xiaochu quickly shook her little hand and said, "It's Chen Fei, Sweet Memories." Lu Chen was surprised and praised, "Good choice." Sweet Memories was Chen Fei's famous work, and it was also a representative work of sweet songs. Mu Xiaochu certainly did not know that Chen Fei was a judge, and choosing this song was undoubtedly a coincidence. And her voice and image were the most suitable for singing a sweet song, and it was easy to impress the judges. Chapter 96. In the first qualifying round of Singing China, Beijing Division, there are a total of 35 contestants. Lu Chen's number is 0030, and Mu Xiaochu is still behind him, 0032. At this moment, on the stage, it is contestant 0017. So, there is still plenty of time. He opened the guitar case and took out the guitar again. Skillfully plucking the steel strings, Lu Chen played the song, Sweet Memories, to accompany Mu Xiaochu. This well-known sweet song has a simple tune that does not require any complicated fingering. It belongs to the introductory track for guitar playing. Although Lu Chen has not played it many times, it is still easy. He even added a little bit of fancy in it. At the beginning, Mu Xiaochu was shy, and there was a trace of uneasiness in her expression. However, with Lu Chen's smile and encouragement, she accurately kept up with the rhythm and sang her own voice. "I accompany you, through the most beautiful coastline, the feeling of happiness, lingering and forgetting to return, sharing the same world together, that sweet memory, staying in my heart, la 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 la." Mu Xiaochu's voice was very beautiful. It was sweet and moist. Listening to it, it seemed to be able to seep into one's soul, making people feel as if they were drinking honey water. Unknowingly, they would indulge in it. Naturally, many contestants and relatives and friends around her gathered around. Everyone kept silent politely and listened to her singing quietly. Everyone had a smile on their faces. She is beautiful and her voice is beautiful. How can it be pleasing to the eye? A staff member at the scene quietly turned down the volume of the wall-mounted TV. And Mu Xiaochu, who was surrounded by people, was obviously a little nervous, but she quickly adapted and sang the whole song. "La la, this is our sweet memory." At the end of the song, the sound lingered, as if it was still in the heart, enough to be remembered for a long time. Clap! 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 Applause sounded. Although it was not so warm, it was full of sincere love. Mu Xiaochu blushed with embarrassment and bowed to the onlookers. "Thank you, little Chu." Her two best friends hugged her from both sides and said with a smile, "You're the best." Mu Xiaochu struggled to break free from their embrace. She looked at Lu Chen with bright eyes and said, "Senior, can you sing a song for us too?" Everyone's attention was immediately focused on Lu Chen. Among the 35 contestants, Lu Chen was undoubtedly the most outstanding in terms of appearance. He was tall, young, and handsome. His smile was as bright as the boy next door. He was the type that everyone liked. Speaking of talent, Lu Chen's performance just now was outstanding. There was no doubt that he understood music. Therefore, everyone wants to hear how well he sings. After all, Singing China is a singer talent show. There was no limit to the number of people who could advance through the qualifiers. At present, the contestants present could not be considered real competitors, but those singers who were capable and had ideas would still pay attention to the strong opponents in advance. Lu Chen was a formidable foe. Does he have any weaknesses? For example, his singing was flat or his voice was ordinary. Good, good. The two unrelated people clapped their hands and applauded first, as if they wanted the world to be in chaos. Lu Chen couldn't help laughing. He thought for a moment and said, "Then I'll sing a song. Since junior sister Xiao Chu is singing Chen Fei her song, I'll sing Tan Hong's song." Everyone couldn't help but show a knowing smile. Tan Hong and Chen Fei, Lu Chen readjusted his sitting posture, held the guitar and began to play. Flying Pigeon. Just after playing a bar of the prelude, someone immediately recognized that it was Tan Hong's famous song, a classic in folk songs. On a rainy day, I'm walking in an empty street, look at the flowers, they'll bloom and give thanks, I'm standing in front of you, dreaming of becoming a pigeon flying in the blue sky, la la flying pigeon. Lu Chen had already played this song countless times. It was his reserved song in Forget Grass Bar. Even if he hadn't practiced it for a while, it was still perfect now. His fingering, singing, and emotions were impeccable. Regardless of the level of the contestants present, they all had the basic ability to judge music. As they listened, the look in their eyes and even their faces changed. Some admired, some were surprised, some were envious, and some were vigilant. After Lu Chen finished singing, Mu Xiaochu was the first to clap his hands, and he clapped so hard that his palms turned red. The applause of the others followed. Lu Chen bowed and smiled, "Thank you." Tan Hong, Flying Pigeon. His eyes flashed with inexplicable light. This song once carried Lu Chen's first dream. Now that he was playing and singing here, how could he not feel emotional? Someone asked, "Lu Chen, did you prepare this song?" All the people backstage, including the group of relatives and friends and staff, wore identity cards, and their names could be known at a glance. Lu Chen shook his head and said, "No, I have prepared another original work of mine. It's just a qualifier. There's no need to hide it. Anyway, everyone will hear it in a short time." His own original work. He's really confident, many people think so. In most people's view, Lu Chen's Flying Pigeon was enough to win the semi-final pass card. He actually took his own original work to the stage. It's simply too much to do. What original work can be compared with Tan Hong's Flying Pigeon? Originally, Tan Hong happened to be a judge, and Lu Chen sang well. If he gets the guidance of this superstar, he will be able to make a big hit. Playing and singing original works can also make a hit, but if the quality of the work is not good, it will be self-defeating. Similar situations have happened in previous talent shows. Some contestants think too highly of themselves and have to use original works to show themselves, and the result is very ugly. Singing China is not Super Singer. Many people had the feeling that Lu Chen had come to the wrong set, and at the same time, their looks became strange. Of course, there were many people who secretly criticized. Lu Chen saw their expressions, but he didn't care, because the facts will prove everything. Mu Xiaochu was simple and supported, "Senior Lu Chen, you will definitely get the pass card." Lu Chen said with a smile, "Let's work hard together. Contestant 0021, please come with me." At this time, a staff member appeared backstage and said loudly, 0022, get ready. The onlookers dispersed, and the competition was still going on. Mu Xiaochu and her classmates also returned to their positions, and no longer peeked at Lu Qin. Time ticked by. For many people, waiting was a kind of suffering, while for others, time passed too fast. 0022, 0023, 0024. One contestant after another came on stage and returned. Some of them successfully passed the judge's assessment and happily got the beautiful semi-final pass card, while others were ruthlessly eliminated. They left crying. There were fewer and fewer people in the Beijing television studio. Just after 8:00, contestant 0029 came on stage. Lu Qin, who was in the back of the line, also appeared in the waiting area near the stage. Contestant 0029 was the middle-aged man with a beard who was sitting on the right side of Lu Qin before. Judging from his dress, he should be a street performer or a Beijing drifter singer. His name is Gao Feng. Standing on the stage, Gao Feng first made a brief self-introduction. He came from Hejiang in the northeast, and was indeed a Beijing drifter. Tan Hong said, "You can start now. I wish you success." Gao Feng nodded and said, "Thank you." He turned his head and gave a thumbs up to the sound tube on the sidelines. The accompaniment music sounded immediately. However, the familiar melody suddenly surprised Lu Qin, who was standing in the waiting area. "I still remember the spring many years ago. At that time, I had not cut my long hair, no credit card, no home with 24-hour hot water. But I was so happy at that time, although I only had a broken wooden guitar." Gao Feng was singing, in the spring. Chapter 97. In the spring has become very popular. In the first week of July, the song ranked 17th, jumping 26 places from last week. Although this week's ranking has not yet been announced, it is believed that there will be a lot of improvement. Reaching the top of the list is not a dream. Therefore, in the first qualifying round of Singing China, it is normal for contestants to cover this song. And Gao Feng's interpretation of "In the Spring" is very good. The life experience of this Beijing drifting singer has determined that he has his own unique understanding of this rock and roll song full of vicissitudes of life. He used a hoarse voice to sing in a heart-wrenching way, fully showing his strong inner uneasiness and struggle, and deeply infected and moved the audience present. "If one day I leave quietly, please bury me here, in the spring, in the spring." When he finished singing the last few lines of the lyrics, more than 1,000 audience members stood up and gave him warm applause. Good. Among the 4 judges, Tan Hong was the first to stand up and shouted, "That's great." Then Lin Jijie, Chen Zhen and Chen Fei also stood up and applauded. In the face of the tide of applause and the praise of superstar judge Tan Hong, Gao Feng's eyes turned red. "Thank you." He bowed deeply with his guitar in his arms, expressing his excitement and gratitude to everyone. As a wandering singer who drifted around and struggled at the bottom, Gao Feng has never received such high praise and welcome on such a big stage. If he wasn't strong enough, he would have burst into tears. In the backstage waiting area, Lu Qin also applauded Gao Feng. "In the Spring" is undoubtedly a real classic, but for Lu Qin, this song is 2 vicissitudes of life. Without enough life experience and years of precipitation, it is impossible to sing its essence. Lu Qin can't sing "In the Spring" by himself. He must use the memory from Su Bo to incarnate himself into the singer in the dream world, so as to be able to express the confusion, sadness, despair, and self-reflection from the beginning to the end of the song. It's enough for him to sing this song once. If it's his own single, it's too easy to give others a strong sense of disharmony. And now seeing that "In the Spring" has touched so many people, even big stars such as Tan Hong, Lu Qin also has a strong sense of satisfaction. Even if it's not sung by himself, to be able to make this classic shine in the world. No regrets. In the big studio, the tide of applause lasted for half a minute. After everyone sat down again, Judge Lin Jijie said, "If I remember correctly, this song is the Bionic's new work, right? I've heard the original song. Your singing skills may be a little worse, but the expression of emotion is more vivid than the original song, so I give you full marks." "Thank you, Teacher Lin Jijie." Gao Feng pressed down his excitement and said, "This song, In the Spring, is the title song of the Bionic's debut album. I personally like it very much. I feel that this song sings the heart of singers like us. I dare not compare with the Bionics, but I am very grateful to the person who wrote this song. If I have a chance to meet this extraordinary author, I want to say thank you to him." The whole audience applauded. People who are modest and not arrogant are the easiest to get the favor and recognition of others. Tan Hong said, "I agree with you very much. There are really not many original works like this with real power and emotion. Whether it's the original song of the Bionics or your cover song, I hope more people will hear it. I think this should be the greatest meaning of Singing China. I also give you full marks." The applause, which had just weakened, became fierce again, and the atmosphere at the scene reached a new climax in an instant. Gao Feng bowed deeply, "Thank you, Teacher Tan Hong." Then Zhen Zhen and Qin Fei also commented a few words and passed all of them. Gao Feng got the pass card for the semi-finals with all votes. Next, contestant number 0030, Lu Chen, please come on stage. Lu Chen, who had already been ready, took a deep breath. He reached for the wireless microphone handed over by the host, stepped up the steps with steady and powerful steps, and walked to the middle of the big stage. With the bright spotlight on him, Lu Chen faced 4 big judges and 1,500 spectators. There will also be tens of millions of spectators in front of TV and computer screens. His mood was unprecedentedly calm. "It's a handsome guy," at the judges' table, sitting on the right side of Tan Hong. Chen Fei smiled gently and said, "Please introduce yourself." "Hello, 4 judges." Lu Chen bowed politely and said, "I am contestant number 0030, Lu Chen. I am 22 years old and from Zhejiang." Xinjian asked, "So what song did you bring to everyone today?" Lu Chen replied, "The name of the song I brought to you is called Life on a String. I wrote it myself." "Life on a String?" Xinjian was surprised. "Isn't that the theme of Singing China?" The editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine is in her 40s, but because of proper maintenance, she still looks quite young, and her voice is a bit like a girl's. Life on a String, Singing China, is the theme of Beijing Television's first reality talent show. This theme is closely related to the rules of the competition. Singing China is divided into 7 major singing areas: Beijing, Xinjiang, Huhai, Hangzhou, Tianfu, Huaqing and Bihai, and uses a unique tour to determine the final champion. The first stop of the competition is Beijing singing area. After auditions, qualifying rounds and semi-finals, the top 32 will be decided, and then the knockout round will be entered. The knockout round will first advance from 32 to 16, and then select the top 10 from the top 16. Then, the top 10 contestants in Beijing singing area will go to Xinjiang, Huhai, Hangzhou, and other 6 singing areas to compete with the top 10 in each singing area. Survival of the fittest will finally select the top 10 in the country, and then return to Beijing for the final election. It is precisely because of the unique competition system that there is a corresponding theme slogan. Lu Chen nodded and said, "Yes." "Then let's get started." Lin Jijie, one of the judges, didn't seem to be interested in Lu Chen. He said lightly, "I wish you success." As he spoke, there was a flash of disapproval in his eyes. In Lin Jijie's view, Lu Chen's choice of the song title was opportunistic. Moreover, he didn't think that Lu Chen could create any good works, so he said a polite remark out of professionalism. As the music director of Flying Stone Records, and in the Beijing area, Lin Jijie has seen too many young people like Lu Qin. They are handsome, a little talented, can sing and play the guitar and piano, but often refuse to be down-to-earth and work hard, and fantasize about becoming famous overnight. There are a few lucky ones among them, who, for one reason or another, do succeed and become famous. But Lin Jijie doesn't have any good impression of their winners or losers. Today's entertainment industry is too impetuous. Tan Hong said, "Come on." Lu Qin nodded. He plugged the microphone into the microphone holder, and then gave a thumbs up to the sound tube outside the field. The prelude of the music sounded. Appearing on the big screen stage for the first time, Lu Qin made careful preparations for the first qualifying round. This song, Life on a String, is also a masterpiece from the dream world. In order to achieve the best effect, he also spent money to ask Nirvana Studios to rearrange and accompany the recording, waiting for this moment. I'm already very used to it, looking south from the wind. Across the mountains and across the sea, whether I have your sad eyes waiting for me. A little sad, I suddenly feel confused and flustered, the cold wind hurts my face, letting tears wet my eyes. Beautiful melody, excellent lyrics, under Lu Qin's gentle and affectionate interpretation. He had just started singing 2 lines, and the 4 judges under the stage were all moved. In fact, I also want to know, whose arms are you in at this time? Those words that you said, in the end, none of us can do it. There's always a trace of guilt for myself running away without saying goodbye, but the past is like yesterday, I can't forget it. Note, Life on a String, lyrics, Wu Yukong, Zhang Fanglu /music, Chen Ziyuan /listening to the song recommend Li Ronghao version. Chapter 98. Tan Hong straightened his back and his expression became focused and serious. Chen Fei's eyes widened, revealing a touch of surprise in them. Jinjia nodded gently, with a knowing smile on her lips, and a trace of joy of discovering a treasure. Lin Jijie was silent, and no one knew what he was thinking. The 1,500 audience at the scene were all quietly listening to Lu Qin singing, and no one made any noise. The style of this song, Life on a String, is very different from the previous, In the Spring, sung by Gao Feng. Although the lyrics are sad and nostalgic, the style of the song is not gloomy and depressed, but full of gentle affection. Lu Qin's interpretation of this song does not have any impassioned or heavy sadness. His singing is casual and even lazy, giving people the feeling of sitting alone on a bench on an autumn afternoon in an avenue covered with frosted red leaves, playing and singing to himself, telling passers-by his love story. Love walks and sings, I can't finish singing, forever and forever on the empty road, covered with confusion. Willingly struggling, mixed feelings of hope, Indiana the end, it's still the same, you can't get the ending you want, isn't it? In the chorus, the mood has changed. It's a question and an answer. Big increase in the power of emotion. In all fairness, Life on a String is inferior to In the Spring, in terms of level. It lacks the kind of passion and climax that makes people's scalp tingle and body tremble, so it's difficult to touch the hearts of the listeners. If it weren't for the title of the song that fits, Singing China, Lu Qin might not have chosen it as the song to sing in the first qualifying round. But it's still a good work. At least it's nice to listen to and can show off his talent. And the audience is very comfortable to listen to, just enough to calm the mood fluctuations caused by listening to In the Spring, just now. It's better to be like this, you and I can forget about it. Everyone is afraid of complexity, live a simple life alone. After a full 4 minutes, Lu Qin finished singing Life on a String. There was a warm applause in the studio, but it was not as passionate as before. Only a few audience members stood up. The 4 judges also applauded at the same time, but none of them stood up. The applause soon died down. Chen Fei said first, Lu Qin, I like this song very much. You are a talented singer and composer, so I'm happy to give you full marks. The audience applauded again. Lu Qin bowed and said, "Thank you, Teacher Chen." The Queen of Sweet Songs was really beautiful, and she really liked this song. She was not hypocritical and pretentious. Therefore, she gave Lu Chen a very good evaluation and passed it with full marks. However, Lu Chen felt that his words seemed a little strange. Xinzhen said, "Nowadays in the domestic pop music world, there are not many people who can really sink down to create, especially young people. But you let me see the future of the power of originality. I hope you will continue to work hard and create better and more outstanding works. Like Fair, I will also give you full marks." "Thank you, Teacher Xinzhen." At this moment, Tan Hong coughed twice and asked, "Do you have any other works?" Lu Chen nodded, "Yes." Tan Hong's eyes lit up and he asked, "Can you sing another song?" In the same talent contest, some contestants were kicked off the stage by 4 red lights before they finished singing half a song, while others sang the whole song and continued to stay on the stage to communicate with the superstar judges. Strength dictated everything. Tan Hong himself was an excellent singer-songwriter. His attitude towards originality was always very serious. Therefore, he did not give full marks to Lu Chen just because he was handsome and his song was good like Chen Feier. He paid more attention to the latter's talent. In the circle, Tan Hong also had a good reputation for promoting the younger generation. He was giving Lu Chen a chance to show himself. Lu Chen hesitated for a moment. Seeing this, Chen Feier said quickly, "Brother Tan, why don't you let him sing other works in the semi-final?" Lu Chen's hesitation made her misunderstand that Lu Chen could not come up with a better song than "Life on a String." As a result, Tan Hong was disappointed and his popularity was affected. Although this was a small matter, it should be known that the qualifying contest was also broadcast live to the national audience. Lu Chen's previous performance points were already very high, but if his other works were not good enough and his singing was not satisfactory, he would lose points. Chen Feier was meticulous and had a good impression of Lu Chen, so she reminded him tactfully. Tan Hong came to his senses and said, "Well, it would be better to sing it in the semi-final." He was purely happy to see Lu Chen's talent and forgot for a moment that this was a talent show. It would be against the rules to let Lu Chen sing another original song. To everyone's surprise, Lu Chen replied, "Teacher Tan, Teacher Chen, in fact, I have another work, which has been sung by contestant 0029 before." Contestant 0029. The 4 judges and more than 1,000 people in the audience were all stunned. What kind of work was this? Xinzhen's reaction was the quickest. She asked in an incredulous tone, "You said you wrote, in the spring?" As the editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine, Xinzhen's question was not up to standard, but everyone could understand her shock. Everyone felt that it was inconceivable. The title song of the Bionics' debut album, In the Spring, a big hit both inside and outside the circle, has just been covered by Gao Feng and won countless acclaim. Moreover, it is such a vicissitudes and profound work. Unexpectedly, it was written by the young Lu Chen. Many people couldn't believe it, and there was an uproar in the studio. Tan Hong and Chen Feier looked at each other. Neither of them thought that Lu Chen was lying. Therefore, as the first reality talent show of Beijing television, Singing China was broadcast not only to China, but also to most of Asia, and its influence was bound to be great. If he lied, then the lie would be too easy to be exposed. How would he have the face to mix in the circle in the future? Lu Chen doesn't look like a person who wants to destroy his own future here, so what he said must be true. Although it's inconceivable, it's the truth. Lin Jijia suddenly said, "I remember. The Bionics in the Spring was written and composed by Lu Chen, and their other 2 songs, I Want to Have a Home and A Strong Reason, are also your works." Lin Jijia is the music director of Flying Stone Records. He has always paid high attention to the new trends and new works in the industry, so he immediately recalled it. Lu Chen smiled and said, "The Bionics and I used to sing and Forget Grass Bar in Ho-Hai." He also made a small advertisement for Forget Grass Bar, which could be regarded as a favor to Qin Jinhao. Chen Feier murmured, "That's great, she has heard all 3 songs by the Bionics, and her favorite is the song, I Want to Have a Home." Unexpectedly, they were all written by Lu Chen. The opening competition of Singing China really opened a big treasure. Tan Hong nodded vigorously. Lin Jijie shook his head with a wry smile. He continued, "Lu Chen, I must apologize to you. Because I thought you were the kind of singer who likes to please the public with claptrap. Now I know I was wrong, so in order to make up for my mistake, I've decided." Before his voice fell, his right hand suddenly raised high and slammed down heavily towards the big golden button in the middle of the judges' table. The deafening sound resounded through the whole studio, accompanied by the muffled sound of bang bang bang. Countless colorful streamers fell from the high ceiling, filling the scene with a joyful and festive atmosphere. On the background screen of the big stage, the huge golden words, "Congratulations on advancing to the top 32, appeared at the same time. Directly promoted. Lu Chen didn't need to participate in the semi-finals and was directly promoted to the top 32. Chapter 99. July 10th, 7:30 in the evening. Beijing television, the daily fixed 7 o'clock current affairs news has just ended, and the live broadcast of Singing China qualifying competition officially began, attracting a large number of viewers to lock the channel to watch. Since 2008, domestic film and television variety shows have exploded, and a large number of reality show competitions have been crowded on the screen, forming an extremely competitive Red Sea, which has inevitably caused the audience's aesthetic fatigue. Under the survival of the fittest, many shoddy or false reality shows have been axed one after another, and what survives are basically fine productions. And as a veteran TV station, Beijing Satellite TV has launched its first reality talent show, Singing China, which has also aroused a high degree of attention inside and outside the circle. The previous audition session had a ratings as high as 3.27%. And tonight's live qualifying competition will undoubtedly reach a new high. Like all other satellite TV stations, Beijing Television also has a live webcast channel, which broadcasts the program content to hundreds of millions of netizens simultaneously, taking into account the 2 most important media, TV screen and computer screen. And just tonight, the program broadcast by Beijing Television Network channel was linked to Whale TV. Lu Fei live broadcast room, with more than 500,000 fish fans watching online. It's really rare for more than 500,000 netizens to gather in the webcast room to watch live TV. It should be known that most people have a TV at home, and the TV viewing experience is undoubtedly far better than the computer network. But the internet has an advantage that TV can't match, that is, interactive communication. As soon as the logo of Singing China appeared on the screen, Lu Fei's live broadcast room was already very lively. It's starting, wife, come and see the anchor." "Where's the anchor now?" "Don't talk nonsense. Do you know what time Lu Fei will go on stage? I'm looking forward to his singing. Do you think the anchor can get the semi-final pass card? Isn't that nonsense? If our General Lu can't do it, who else can? I've seen the audition before. The anchor is very handsome." According to the most reliable news, the anchor will go on stage at 8:35 on time. Welcome to Pay Attention and Smash Fish Balls. Really? The barrage was densely brushed, and everyone's biggest concern was when Lu Chen would appear. They couldn't wait to see Lu Chen's debut on the big stage. Lu Chen's participation in the Singing China talent show was announced early in the live broadcast room, Fish Nest and Lu Jiejun Group, and received the support of the vast majority of fans. Everyone was looking forward to seeing him perform even more brilliantly in the wider world. Tonight's qualifier was very important. In addition, it was a Friday night, so there were a lot of people online. Of course, Li Feiyu was the host of Lu Chen's stream. Although Peter Pan had stopped broadcasting a long time ago, he still had some skills. He relied on his eloquence as a salesman to make jokes without revealing his face, bringing the atmosphere of the live broadcast room to a good level. From 7:00 till now, in just half an hour, he had bought 3 t of fish balls for Lu Chen. Many small anchors of Whale TV have worked hard for a year or two of live broadcasting, and have paid a lot of traffic and electricity fees themselves, but they may not be able to earn so many fish balls. I repeat, our Lu Fei Da's number is 0030. Li Feiyu said aloud, his order of appearance must be at the back, and I don't know the exact time, so don't ask the same question again. I will inform you immediately if there is the latest news. Let's watch the live show first. In online live broadcasting, female anchors, especially beautiful female anchors, have many advantages over male anchors. Even if they cook and wash clothes every day, they can attract a large number of otaku attention. Among male anchors, game anchors are much better than life and entertainment anchors. Nowadays, Lu Chen is a popular entertainment anchor in Whale TV, but he is still a lot worse than popular game anchors like Xiao Gu, even if he once defeated the latter in the PK-themed show. As a male anchor, sitting in front of the screen and singing by himself, although there is the support of original songs, the audience will still have aesthetic fatigue, which is not as strong as the freshness and excitement of life's jungling adventure. It is also not as exciting as the game live broadcast, and has a natural disadvantage. Lu Chen is very clear about this, so he regards Whale TV as a springboard in his life. He has no idea of sticking to his anchor career for a long time, and at most, he will stick to it until the end of the time stipulated in the contract. On the other hand, he is also looking for new changes. For example, the live broadcast of Light Blue Music Carnival last time is a good form. This time, the Singing China talent show can also stimulate the fans' G-spot and bring more attention. Lu Chen even thought about whether he could bring the live broadcast into the backstage of Beijing television, but they didn't allow it at all. They couldn't even take pictures, let alone video shooting. So, he changed the show to a live broadcast and asked Li Feiyu to host it. And the fans' response was still very warm and enthusiastic, especially when the first judge appeared. Tan Hong. It's actually Tan Hong, my male god. Beijing television is really awesome. They actually invited Tan Hong to be a judge. His strength is great. I remember that the anchor Big has sung several Tan Hong songs. Do you think he will sing it again in the evening? It's best if he can sing it, because Tan Hong is a judge. Don't talk nonsense, General Lu will definitely sing an original song, and he can still conquer Heavenly King Tan. Weekly asking, who is Tan Hong? In addition to the excited cheers, there are also stupid and cute guys who ask stupid and cute questions. As a result, they were scolded to pieces on the spot. You don't even know Tan Hong. Revealing your age, come and eat the pill. Tan Hong has been in the music industry for more than 20 years, and his influence is mainly concentrated in the post-70s and post-80s people. There are also a lot of post-90s people who know about him, and the post-00s are much worse. The latter two are more concerned about the popular male and female group idols, Little Fresh Meat. Chen Feier, who appeared after Tan Hong, also set off a wave of joy and praise in the live broadcast room. Goddess. Tan Hong plus Chen Feier, a dream judge combination. Not to mention anything else, just for these two, I will finish watching the live broadcast tonight. Finish watching +1. Do you think Chen Feier will like our anchor Big? Yes, he will definitely like him. Haha, as for the third judge, Zhen Zhen, editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine, and the fourth judge, Lin Jijie, music director of Flying Stone Records, were magnificently ignored by everyone. Some people even asked, "Are these two guys here to make up the numbers?" Fortunately, Zhenzhen and Lin Jijie don't watch the live broadcast, otherwise they will definitely vomit blood. We are really not passers-by. Since contestant 0001 came on stage, the qualifying round of Singing China has continued. The atmosphere in Lu Fei's live broadcast room tends to be peaceful, and there are a lot less bullet screen comments, most of which are comments on the contestants. Compared with the comments of the live judges, the bullet screen comments are undoubtedly much more vicious. Until contestant 0029, Gao Feng, came on stage. His song, In the Spring, instantly reignited the hot atmosphere in the live broadcast room. In the Spring. Isn't that the song written by our Lu Feide? Yes, it was written by our anchor for the Bionics. There are a total of 3 songs, all of which are on the original list. Lu Feide is mighty. It's very well sung, and it's also our General Lu's song. It's really well written. Ha ha ha, it's so interesting. Next is our Lu Fei Da's turn. He actually covered his song in the front. It's not that the program team specially arranged it, is it? It's possible, otherwise it would be too much of a coincidence. Interesting. Excited. Some time ago, the Bionics mini-album hit the charts, and Lu Chen advertised in the live broadcast room, calling on everyone to support it. Therefore, many people know the 3 songs, In the Spring, I Want to Have a Home, and Reason to Be Strong. They were all written by Lu Chen. Among them, In the Spring, Lu Chen even sang it himself in the live broadcast. Therefore, when they saw that the contestant in front of him actually chose this song to participate in the competition, everyone was overjoyed. But that's not the point. The point is that after Gao Feng finished singing, Lu Chen came on stage. Although the song Life on a String did not meet the highest requirements of fans, it was worth everyone's wait. However, the real surprise was yet to come. Lu Chen unexpectedly got Lin Jijie's direct promotion golden Easter egg. Chapter 100. The golden button placed in the middle of the judge's seat is a symbol of luck and strength, and a surprise Easter egg. According to the rules of Singing China, the 4 judges have a chance to press it once in the qualifying round to send a contestant directly to the top 32, and in the semi-finals and promotion round, they can press it again to resurrect an eliminated contestant. A judge has 2 privileges, no more. Lin Jijie pressed the golden button and gave the big Easter egg he held to Lu Chen. Lu Chen was lucky to skip the semi-finals and became the first contestant to enter the top 32 in Beijing's singing area. Wow! Chen Feier was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth and said with a smile, "Big brother Jijie, you're really good." Tan Hong laughed and gave Lin Jijie a thumbs up. Zhenzhen stood up and led the audience to applaud, cheering for Lu Chen and Lin Jijie's apology. With Lin Jijie's identity and status in the industry, even if he has any opinions about Lu Chen, he doesn't need to say or explain anything at all. The act of apologizing undoubtedly shows his magnanimity. Lu Chen was also very surprised, but he reacted quickly. He immediately bowed and said, "Thank you, Teacher Lin." All the audience stood up, and the warm and enthusiastic applause was as fierce as a summer storm. When this scene appeared on the screen of Lu Fei's live broadcasting room, Lu Chen's fans were all ignited. China's good judge. Lu Feide is mighty, he went straight to the top 32. Don't say anything, come and smash the fish balls. I'll take the lead first, everyone keep up. The people of Shanghai send a congratulatory message, congratulating the anchor on advancing to the top 32. Let's congratulate you. Who is this judge? We must praise him. Lin Jijie, the music director of Flying Stone Records, is also a very powerful figure. Do you think Lu Feide will release an album in Flying Stone? It's very possible. I'm looking forward to the host's first album. It's beautiful just thinking about it. Because of this golden Easter egg, many people became fans of Lin Jijia, and they even had higher expectations for him. Fish balls were thrown out as if they were free. Dozens and hundreds of combos appeared frequently, filling the entire screen. The local tycoons even launched more than a dozen aircraft carriers in one breath, pushing the atmosphere of the live broadcast to the climax. Li Feiyu, the host of the live broadcast, was even more passionate. He shouted until his throat was hoarse. It was as if he was the one who had won and was proud of it. The scene of Lu Chen winning a place in the top 32 with the help of a golden Easter egg appeared on the TV screens of millions of households in China and the computer screens of netizens, making countless people remember his name. Yi Zi, you really have a good eye. In the dormitory area of Beijing Normal University, in dormitory 305, Building 7, several girls were watching the live broadcast of the Singing China qualifying round on a laptop. One of the girls smiled and said to Yi Zitong, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, "This is a potential stalk. He is handsome and talented. You have to take advantage of him. Don't let others take him away. Otherwise, it will be too late for you to cry." Yi Zitong said shyly, "What potential stalk? I'm just an ordinary friend with him. Whoever wants to grab him can grab him." She knew that Lu Chen would participate in the Singing China talent competition last week. Today, she stayed in front of the computer early to watch the live broadcast, which attracted her classmates in the dormitory to gather around to watch the fun. Yi Zitong didn't want to be exposed, but there was a guy around her who knew everything, so everyone knew. Zhou Xintian swallowed the apple she was chewing in her mouth and said with a smile, "You're just being stubborn. Who left her sister a few days ago and sneaked out on a date? I haven't settled this debt with you yet." Last time, Yi Zitong and Lu Chen went to the skating rink to skate. When Yi Zitong came back, she was brutally forced to confess by Zhou Xintian. She had to tell the truth, and then was classified as evidence for seriously damaging her best friend's relationship. Yi Zitong helplessly touched her forehead with her hand and said, "Didn't I invite you to eat Haagen-Dazs? You want to bribe me with just 2 cups of ice cream." Zhou Xintian pinched Yi Zitong's face and said proudly, "Girl, you're dreaming." Yi Zitong grabbed her thief's hand and said with a smile, "Then add 2 more cups. It'll be really beautiful to let you eat until you become a big fat girl." Ah! Zhou Xintian, who had recently gained 2 kilograms of weight, jumped up like a wild cat whose tail had been stepped on. She threw Yi Zitong on the bed and cried, "I don't want to eat it. I don't want to get fat." In the small dormitory, the 2 women's crisp laughter suddenly sounded. Yi Zitong and Zhou Xintian were playing, but in her heart, she thought of Lu Chen. She didn't know what he was doing at this moment. Was he celebrating the victory? Alone, or with someone else? She suddenly had an urge to call Lu Chen immediately, but she was helplessly suppressed by Zhou Xintian. When Lu Chen came out of the Beijing television broadcasting building, it was already 10:00 in the evening. After winning the golden egg and winning the first place in the top 32, he accepted a separate interview with Beijing television after stepping off the stage, mainly talking about his music experience, music dreams, promotion thoughts, and so on. Previously, Lu Chen had already shot a short VCR video, but as the first contestant to advance to the top 32 of the Beijing singing area, he had a lot of explosive points, so it was specially red-hot. In front of the camera, Lu Chen performed well as always, talking with confidence and assurance without the slightest stage fright. The reporters who visited him all praised him as a star, and wished Lu Chen to win the competition for the top 32 in the next week. After the interview, it was naturally late. Standing at the door, facing the brightly lit long street ahead of him, Lu Chen took out his mobile phone and turned it on. During the interview just now, he turned off his mobile phone out of courtesy. There were already many unread messages in QQ and QQ, all of which were congratulatory messages from friends and fans. Because the recording and broadcast were 1 hour apart, the messages were newly received. Lu Chen selected a few important messages and replied respectively, including Yi Zidong. After replying to the message, he called back a missed call. The cell phone rang for 3 seconds, and Chen Jianhao's hearty laughter came from the other side. Lu Chen, congratulations. Thank you. Lu Chen said with a smile, Brother Kenho, I advertised your bar. Chen Jianhao said, I saw it. The advertisement was good, but not only for me, but also for you. Lu Chen has a 5% share in Forget Grass Bar. Lu Chen laughed. Chen Jianhao said, your song was written well in the qualifier. What song are you going to choose for the top 32? Lu Chen's heart moved and he asked, Brother Kenho, do you have any good suggestions? Chen Jianhao replied, I think you are very good. It's also an original work, and you sing very well. Lu Chen vaguely understood and said with a smile, well, I'll listen to Brother Kenho. Since Lu Chen participated in the talent show, the owner of Forget Grass Bar has become a bit mysterious. But Lu Chen believed that he would not harm him. Chen Jianhao smiled, that's good. Remember to come to the bar when you have time. A lot of guests are asking about you. After chatting with Chen Jianhao for a while, Lu Chen ended the call and called Li Feiyu. Did Chen? As soon as he heard his voice, Lu Chen was immediately shocked. Damn, what's wrong with your throat? Peter Pan's voice was very hoarse and unpleasant. It sounded like his vocal cords were rubbed hard by rough sandpaper. Li Fei cackled and said, I'm so happy today that my voice is hoarse from all the shouting. Di Chen, do you know how much we got for the live broadcast tonight? 70 T, a whole 70 T. He was obviously very excited. Regardless of his throat, he loudly reported the good news to Lu Chen. Most of them are ordinary Lu Jiejun fans. A lot of fish balls. For any live broadcasting platform, including Whale TV, the main force of tipping are local tyrants or high-level fans, but the power of ordinary fans cannot be underestimated. Even if 1/10 of hundreds of thousands of fans tipped 100 fish balls, it would still be a great amount. And 100 or 200 fish balls, as long as you do free tasks on the website, it is still easy to accumulate. This is undoubtedly a congratulatory gift for Lu Chen from the vast number of fish fans. Okay, you don't have to say any more. Lu Chen said decisively, I'm coming over now. Let's meet at the old place. Chapter 101. A plate of spicy fried snails, a plate of salt and pepper crayfish, a plate of tender fried beef willow and vinegar shredded potatoes. For simple dishes, with some peanuts and cucumbers, Lu Chen and Li Feiyu each carried 2 bundles of beer, sat opposite each other and drank, celebrating the success of the evening. Li Feiyu drank very happily, and in the blink of an eye, he drank a bottle. He put the empty bottle heavily on the table, wiped the foam from the corner of his mouth, and said loudly, Great. Lu Chen said with a smile, It's good to feel good. Li Feiyu took a long sigh of relief and said, It's really great. Di Chen, you don't know. I've been doing live broadcasting for a long time, but I've never been as happy as I was tonight. I have no regrets. Lu Chen thought for a moment and asked, Li Gu, if I open a studio, would you like to help me? You open a studio? Li Feiyu shivered all over and his eyes lit up, really? Lu Chen nodded heavily, really. Opening a studio is Lu Chen's long-standing idea, but the time was not ripe before, so he has always suppressed the idea at the bottom of his heart and has not talked about it to many people. But now the situation is different. He has gone to a bigger stage and circle. In the foreseeable future, his work will become busier and busier, and he can't just rely on himself to do it. For example, tonight's live webcast, which relied on Li Feiyu's help, earned a lot of income. However, there are still many competitions behind Singing China. Lu Chen's goal is the highest crown. He can't let Li Feiyu help him for nothing every time, can he? Although Li Feiyu doesn't care, and is even very happy, Lu Chen wants to solve the problem once and for all. The best way is to set up a personal studio and set up his own team. In fact, many celebrities, after debuting and becoming famous, would often break away from their contracted companies to set up their own studios, and then completely control their future in their own hands. For example, Tan Hong and Qin Feier. Lu Chen just skipped the middle process and took control of his own fate in advance. Of course, Lu Chen did not have the strength and connections of those celebrities, so it would definitely be difficult at the beginning, but as the saying goes, where there is a will, there is a way. Relying on the precious wealth from the dream world, he was already standing on the shoulders of giants. For the future, Lu Chen was full of confidence. As for his agent, Lu Chen chose his sister, Lu Shi, and Li Feiyu was suitable to be his assistant, helping him deal with the complicated daily affairs so that he could focus more time and energy on his music and acting career. After careful consideration, Lu Chen sincerely extended an invitation to Li Feiyu. It was not an impromptu idea. Seeing Lu Chen's serious attitude, Li Feiyu was finally sure that he was not joking. Peter Pan hesitated for a moment. He swallowed his saliva, suddenly raised his hand and slapped the table. He said resolutely, "De Chen, if you want me, then I'll do it. I can do hard work. This job is not interesting at all now. I've wanted to quit for a long time, damn it." At present, car sales in the market were not good. The 4S store that Li Feiyu worked for was not a popular brand, and as a salesperson, he earned money by commission, so it had a great impact on his income. Even if Lu Chen did not invite him, he also planned to change jobs. Lu Chen said, "Then it's settled. Don't be too anxious. You first go through the resignation procedures, and then come to help me. The first step is to rent a suitable office and get the license approved. The second step is to slowly fill in the staff." He planned to do it step by step. He would not spread the scene too much at once, so as to reduce the pressure on the financial side. As for the salary, it will be the same as your level in the 4S store. How about a bonus? Because he had already thought about it, Lu Chen's thinking was very clear. Li Feiyu smiled. That's very good. The two had known each other for a long time and knew each other well. He believed that Lu Chen would not let him suffer a loss. As he spoke, he did not know what he thought of. His expression became coy, as if he wanted to say something but did not dare to say it. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Do you want me to invite Sister Xiaomei?" If there was anything in the 4S store that Peter Pan could not give up, it was undoubtedly Sister Xiaomei. Li Feiyu's infatuation with Qin Xiaomei had never changed. Being exposed by Lu Chen, Li Feiyu's face turned red. He scratched his head in embarrassment and said, "I think so. If it is difficult, there's nothing difficult about it." Lu Chen interrupted, "Since a studio is open, there must be a receptionist at the front desk. If Sister Xiaomei is willing to come to my small place, then I will definitely welcome her." Li Feiyu was immediately relieved. She should come. There are many customers in the 4S store who are always lecherous. Lu Chen smiled, opened a can of beer and said to him, "Happy cooperation. Happy cooperation." On the afternoon of July 11th, Blue Sky Creative Park, Nirvana Studios. Lu Chen's and Wang Chongqing's hands were firmly held together, and under their hands was a new contract that had just been signed. The day after the end of the first qualifying round of Singing China, he came to Nirvana Studios again and handed over all 10 songs of his debut album to this unknown studio in the industry to complete. Compared with the previous single arrangement and accompaniment recording, this list is undoubtedly much larger. The contract amount is 100,000 yuan. It's still 10,000 yuan a song, but because it's a complete album, and Lu Chen's singing recording, the requirements are much higher, and the production cycle is also big extension. After the last cooperation, Lu Chen has enough trust in Nirvana Studios. He appreciates the other party's serious and professional work attitude, so he will entrust such an important task to the latter. Lu Chen's plan is to synchronize the production of new songs with the Singing China competition, use this excellent platform to promote his work, and finally officially launch his debut album to the market, Love in the Wind. His requirement for Nirvana Studios is quality. Even if it's not as good as Tianjai Workshop, it can't be too bad. Wang Chongqing, the manager of Nirvana Studios, is simply grateful. Thank you. Lu Chen said, I'd like to thank you, too. The arrangement of walking and singing is very good. Wang Chongqing smiled and narrowed his eyes. I watched the qualifying round last night. Mr. Lu, your performance was so good. I'm sorry. I forgot to congratulate you on advancing to the top 32 just now. Lu Chen said, if Manager Wang feels sorry, can you do me a favor? Wang Chongqing was stunned, and then understood and said, no problem, no problem. Just say it. As long as I can help, I will try my best to complete it. Although Wang Chongqing is not a very astute manager, he can also see how strong Lu Chen's potential is. If such a customer is firmly grasped, then Nirvana Studios can not only get rid of the current predicament, but also have the opportunity to soar into the sky. Just now, at the moment when the new contract was signed, Manager Wang wanted to marry his daughter to Lu Chen. For this studio, he really worried his heart out. Lu Chen said with a smile, it's not that serious. I'm going to rent an office in the Blue Sky Creative Park and open a personal music studio. An area of 100 to 200 square meters is enough. Manager Wang is familiar with this area. Can you help me keep an eye on it? Nowadays, it is very popular for singers and actors to open personal studios, but they are all big stars in the industry. Lu Chen also wants to open a music studio, which more or less shocked Wang Chongqing. However, there is obviously no competition between Lu Chen's personal music studio and Nirvana Studios. Otherwise, he would not need to produce his album in Nirvana Studios, nor would he ask Wang Chongqing for help. The two studios can cooperate better. After Wang Chongqing came to his senses, he immediately said, no problem, no problem. I will help you find the most suitable office. We will be neighbors in the future, hee hee. As he said this, he laughed. Lu Chen nodded, but his mind flew farther away. Chapter 102. Loneliness was a person's revelry, and revelry was the loneliness of a group of people. The Lost Bar was a lonely nightclub that was hidden in the depths of Sanlitun in the capital city. Other than insiders, not many ordinary people knew about this bar. Although it had a bar's signboard, it was actually a real nightclub. There was a big difference between the two. The nightclub provided drinks, food, space, and facilities for the guests to eat, drink, and play to their heart's content. It provided dreamlike enjoyment and paid more attention to the entertainment experience. There were many nightclubs in Sanlitun, but in terms of quality and strength, none could compare to the Lost Bar. However, ordinary guests couldn't enter because it implemented a membership system. Every night, the parking lot outside the Lost Bar was always filled with all kinds of luxury cars and sports cars. Mercedes-Benz and BMWs were rare here. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Maserati, Porsche, and so on were the mainstream. Just after 10 o'clock, a four-door Porsche F17 silently parked in the VIP parking lot. This all-electric luxury sports car was a new product launched by Porsche this year. The body of the car gathered a large number of this old car company's latest technological achievements. It could travel more than 700 kilometers on a single charge, and it only needed 3.5 seconds to accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers. The standard model cost as high as 5 million. Its biggest characteristic was that it was quiet, like a cheetah in the jungle. When it pounced on its prey, it was silent but extremely fast. It contained a fatal power that made people tremble. Therefore, as soon as the F-17 was launched, it won the favor of young tycoons, and orders were lined up until 2018. In Beijing, there were no more than 10 Porsche F-17s. The shiny car door opened, and 5 young people filed out, walking toward the entrance of the Lost Bar. The man walking at the front was in his 20s, about 1.75 meters tall, had short hair, and looked very spirited. He was wearing a set of white casual clothes. Even his trousers and shoes were obviously custom-made, and there were no brands on them. "Good evening, Li Xiao." The waiter in charge of guarding the door bowed, and at the same time reached out to open the glass door. The man in white handed over a red note and asked, "Have Saw Jiahao and the others arrived yet?" "Where's Sister Fanny?" The waiter grasped the notes in his hand with great familiarity and answered attentively, "Young Master Saw and the others arrived half an hour ago. Miss Fanny came a little later, but they're already inside." The man in white nodded and strode into the bar. "Ah, look who's here." As soon as he walked in, he was immediately discovered. "Isn't this our third young master Li Mubai?" His teasing voice even drowned out the live music and clearly reached the ears of the people around him. "I heard that you recently started playing in a band again. Are you here to embarrass yourself?" The one who stopped Li Mubai's way was a man in black t-shirt of the same age. His dress was undoubtedly much more fashionable than the former. He wore various silver ornaments with religious symbols and 3 diamond earrings in his left ear. He was completely a fashionable man in Japan and South Korea. The fashionable man was not as tall as Li Mubai. When he spoke, he raised his head and raised his nose to the sky, so he looked quite arrogant. Li Mubai couldn't help laughing and said, "Saw Jiahao, it's better for me to play in a band than for you to play as a female anchor, right? By the way, I haven't thanked you for the 100,000 yuan you lost to me last time. It's just right for me to install the interior of my new car. The lambskin cushion is very comfortable to step on." This man in black t-shirt, Saw Jiahao, was Earthies, who gambled with Li Mubai in the last PK-themed show competition on Whale TV. Because Lu Chen, who was supported by Li Mubai, won the second place, he defeated his opponent. And the relationship between Saw Jiahao and the female anchor, Yu Gij, which he supported, Li Mubai knew very well. "I don't know what you're talking about." Saw Jiahao suddenly looked like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He looked guiltily at the woman who was walking towards them not far away and said disdainfully, 100,000 yuan is nothing. It's not even enough for me to eat a meal. Only you treat it like a treasure, huh? Li Mubai was too lazy to pay any more attention to him and went straight to the woman who had just come over, Sister Fanny. The woman named Fanny has an outstanding appearance. Her long hair is shoulder-length and her skin is as white as snow. Her Chanel summer dress makes her look very ladylike. Her pair of soul-stirring eyes are full of autumn ripples, as if they could speak. "Why do you two always quarrel when you see each other?" She rebuked, "If you keep doing this, Xiao Qian and I will leave and let you play by yourselves." Li Mubai quickly raised his hands and said, "I know I was wrong. I won't quarrel with that idiot." "Who are you calling an idiot?" Saw Jiahao, who was behind, jumped up and glared at Li Mubai fiercely. Li Mubai chuckled and pretended not to see Fanny's reproachful eyes. He greeted the girl next to the ladder, "Sister Xiao Qian, long time no see. Now that you're back, will you go to America again in the future?" The girl was about 18 or 19 years old. She had blood-red makeup on and her hair was unkempt, just like a legendary vampire. She should be very beautiful, but it's a pity that her overly rich and mature clothes covered her youthful appearance. Instead, it gave people a feeling that she was neither fish nor fowl. She exuded a decadent aura inside and out. "Call me Qin Qian." The vampire girl rolled her eyes big and said, "I'm not that familiar with you, but I can tell you that Sister Fanny and I don't plan to go back to that *TTY place in America." "Are you very happy?" "Very happy." Li Mubai answered straightforwardly, staring at Fanny with a hint of passion in his eyes. In terms of relationship, there was no doubt that Li Mubai was closer to Qin Qian, but he liked this beautiful and gentle woman in front of him. Fanny's pretty face blushed under his bold stare, and she looked even more lovely. *CK. Sa Jiahao was unhappy, extremely unhappy. He had worked hard to organize the party at the Lost Bar in the evening for Fanny, who had just returned from abroad. As a result, the limelight was stolen by Li Mubai. It was simply unbearable. However, quarreling with Li Mubai had proven to be a very stupid behavior. Sa Jiahao suddenly had an idea. He suddenly jumped to the T-shaped stage in the middle of the bar, and at the same time, signaled the live band to stop the performance. Taking the microphone, he said loudly, "Brothers and sisters, tonight's party is held for Miss Fanny and Miss Qin Qian, who have just returned from abroad. So, let us raise our glasses together and wish the two ladies eternal youth and beauty. Cheers!" The men and women in the bar all raised their glasses. The members of the Lost Bar were either rich or respectable, and they were basically very young. They had their own special circle in Beijing, and not anyone could casually squeeze into it. This nightclub was actually the entertainment point of this circle. It often held all kinds of carnival parties. Its controlling shareholders were all big brothers and sisters in the circle. Sa Jiahao's status in the circle was not high, but he was the initiator of tonight's party, so everyone gave him face. Fanny also smiled and took a sip of the cocktail. Taking advantage of the good atmosphere, Sa Jiahao continued, "Originally, I prepared a lot of programs for the two ladies tonight. It just so happens that our third young master Li Mubai is here. Everyone knows that he has been playing with a band recently, and he brought his band members. Why don't we let Li Xiao sing a song for Miss Fanny and Miss Qin Qian first? Support." The people present basically knew the grievances between Sa Jiahao and Li Mubai. There were many people who wished for the world to be in chaos, and they couldn't wait for the two to fight directly. How could they not support it? Sa Jiahao smiled proudly and continued, "But who is our Li Xiao? If he sang someone else's song, it would be too boring and insincere. So let him sing a song he wrote himself. What do you guys think? He was lying in ambush here." Good. This time, there were more people who applauded. It wasn't that Li Mubai's popularity was too bad, and everyone wanted to see him make a fool of himself. It was that the guests at night were basically invited by Sa Jiahao, and they had a better relationship with the latter. Fanny couldn't help but frown. She knew that Li Mubai loved to have fun, but he really didn't have any talent in music composition. Sa Jiahao wanted Li Mubai to sing his own work. Wasn't that forcing him? She was about to dissuade him, but Qin Qian clapped her hands and said, "Okay, okay. Li Mubai, you go up quickly." Everyone's eyes were instantly focused on Li Mubai. Chapter 103. Li Mubai's expression was a bit strange. Usually, in such a case, with the temper and character of the third young master of the Li family, first of all, he will certainly not be knocked out and swallow his teeth into his stomach, let alone bite the bullet and step into Sa Jiahao's trap. 9 out of 10, he will directly go up and fight with the latter first. Even if he messes up the party at night, he will not give his opponent a chance to slap his face. But Li Mubai didn't fly into a rage out of humiliation, nor did he retort. He looked at Sa Jiahao on the stage, with a faint smile on his face, and asked unhurriedly, "Sa Jiahao, do you want me to sing an original song?" He didn't have a microphone, but the live music had stopped, so the people in the bar could hear it clearly. This Li family's third young master seemed to be quite calm. Of course. Sa Jiahao finally thought of a good idea to attack Li Mubai. How could he let his opponent escape so easily? He said without hesitation, "Who in the circle doesn't know your musical talent, Li Shao? If you sing someone else's song, do you have the nerve to dedicate it to our sister Fanny? Isn't that right, everyone?" If he didn't force Li Mubai into a corner and prevent him from making a fool of himself, Sa Jiahao wouldn't feel comfortable. Such a good opportunity to slap his face was too rare. Yes. There were a few of Sa Jiahao's friends in the crowd, and they deliberately responded to his words loudly. "Old Sa, what you're doing is too unkind." Li Mubai smiled bitterly, shook his head and said, "Do I have such a big grudge against you? You're making it very difficult for me." Pretentious. Seeing that Li Mubai was still putting on airs there, Sa Jiahao suddenly got angry for no reason. "You still dare to put on airs?" Coincidentally, he caught a glimpse of Fanny from the corner of his eye. The latter's slightly furrowed eyebrows made this young master Sa suddenly realize that Li Mubai was waiting for Fanny to step in and smooth things over. As expected, Fanny said, "Forget it, little Sa. Everyone is here to have fun tonight. There's no need to fight." "Since you've said it, Sister Fanny," Sa Jiahao immediately pretended to sigh and said, "Li Mubai, since you can't do it, forget it." Of course, he had to give enough face to Fanny. On the surface, he magnanimously let Li Mubai go, but in fact, he wanted to step on the ladder to the bottom. Fanny smiled, while Chen Qian curled her lips in disdain. Li Mubai was simply too incompetent. As a man, you can't say that you can't do it. To everyone's surprise, Li Mubai didn't take the opportunity to get off the stage. Instead, he smiled contemptuously and said, "I really prepared an original work. Since everyone wants to hear it, then I'll show my incompetence once." Li Mubai really wanted to go on the stage himself. Did he lose his mind because of Sa Jiahao's provocation? It was estimated that he was really going to be embarrassed. Many guests were speechless and felt that they were going to be embarrassed again. Fanny, who had just relaxed her eyebrows, frowned again, and her pretty face showed a trace of displeasure. "I haven't seen Li Mubai for 2 years, why is he still like a child?" She, and the other people at the scene, didn't notice the look on the faces of the 4 members brought by Li Mubai. Their expressions were very strange, as if they wanted to laugh but didn't dare to laugh. Sa Jiahao was overjoyed and immediately said, "Then everyone, let's welcome our Li Shao on the stage to personally sing." He was the first to clap hard, as if he wanted to slap Li Mubai's face. Whether they were willing or not, everyone followed him and clapped. Li Mubai took his band members and went on stage proudly. The Lost Bar was definitely not the biggest nightclub in Sanlitun, but in terms of interior decoration and facilities, if it said that it was ranked second, then no one would dare to say that they were first. All the instruments and equipment needed by a pop band could be found here, and they were all high-end goods. Li Mubai's team unceremoniously occupied the original positions of the musicians. He held an electric guitar and stood in front of the microphone, full of vigor and confidence. Sa Jiahao, who just got off the stage, suddenly felt a little unconfident. He set a trap for Li Mubai, and Li Mubai also fell into the trap. But now, he didn't know why, but he felt that he was the one who fell into the trap. This grandson was too good at acting. There must be a conspiracy. Young Master Sa was still very smart. He immediately thought of a question. "Li Mubai, did you buy a song?" With their net worth, they could easily take out the money to buy a good song from their pockets. Previously, Li Mubai was in the heavy band. In order to show off, it was undoubtedly a very normal thing to spend money to buy songs. If that was really the case, then he, Sa Jiahao, would be a fool. "Pay!" Li Mubai replied with disdain, "If I spend money, or let others spend money to buy a song for me, I'll change my surname to yours. On the other hand, if I don't spend money to buy a song, you'll change your surname to mine. Do you dare to agree? Of course, this song was not bought, it was a gift from someone else. Suddenly there was a burst of laughter around. Sa Jiahao really didn't dare to agree. Although Li Mubai was playful and aggressive, he was also a master of his words in the circle. No one had ever seen him go back on his words. His credibility was very high. Li Mubai made Sa Jiahao speechless, and then said to the microphone, "I'm very happy tonight, because Sister Fanny returned from overseas to develop in the country. She came back very suddenly, so I didn't prepare a good gift for her, and even if I did, Sister Fanny wouldn't accept it." As he said, his eyes looked at Fanny, who was standing under the stage. Fanny smiled. "So I thought I'd give you a song," Li Mubai continued. "This song was originally written for me. I practiced for a long time, and it's the first time I'm singing it for everyone. I hope everyone doesn't mind." Applause and laughter sounded again. Even the unruly Chen Qian gave him face. The name of the song is Li Mubai. As soon as his voice fell, a very rhythmic prelude suddenly sounded. Li Mubai stood very casually and relaxed. He lowered his head and played the guitar. "Most people want me to learn to watch the secular view. I seriously learned the secular view, the secular world until dawn. I didn't understand a word in a foreign movie, it's a joke to watch the ending. You see how well-behaved, smart, and obedient I am, how treacherous. I drank a few bowls of rice wine and then left to imitate, whose painting was it that I accidentally vomited when I went out? You call the other party dear every day, how unfashionable it is. You should practice calligraphy before you go out to explore the world, only then will there be people who enthusiastically buy it." When Li Mubai's casual and even lazy singing came into the ears of everyone present, these young people in the top circle of the capital were all moved, and even amazed and couldn't believe it. They all came from superior backgrounds, and there were some who were ignorant and incompetent, but there was basically no one who had poor vision and experience. In terms of music alone, there might be very few people who had the ability to appreciate, but they could still hear the good or bad of a song. Li Mubai's song, Li Bai, was at least very outstanding in terms of melody, and the song's title and lyrics were also very interesting. The most important thing was the strength of his singing. It was simply coquettish to the bone, with a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of debauchery, delicate and elegant, completely different from before. And there was still the passion that belonged to young people. "If I could do it all over again, I want to choose Li Bai, good or bad things done thousands of years ago, not so many people guessed. If I could do it all over again, I want to choose Li Bai, at least I can still write poems to Serge T's girls. If I could do it all over again, I want to choose Li Bai, writing can also reach such a high level, being admired by so many people, if I could do it all over again." Many people were simply listening to it. As soon as the chorus ended, applause, laughter, and whistles immediately rang out. It was great. Sa Jiahao took a few steps back, trying to hide himself in the crowd. He felt a little hot on his face. Chen Qian was stunned. After a moment, she murmured, "Jazz, R&B, soul. What else?" What she heard was the style contained in this song, which made people happy and harmonious, so she was very surprised. When did Li Mubai, this ignorant and incompetent guy, have such talent? She would rather believe that a sow can climb a tree. And Fanny, who was beside Chen Qian, didn't think so much. She didn't understand either. She just felt that Li Mubai, who was standing on the stage and singing at this moment, was undoubtedly a lot more mature than the playboy from 2 years ago. He also had a little bit of a real man. "If I could do it all over again, I want to choose Li Bai." Interesting. Her eyes flashed with an inexplicable look. Until the end of the song, the audience burst into thunderous applause. Saw Jiahao finally escaped shamefully. If he stayed any longer, his face couldn't be covered, it was too swollen. There was no doubt that what happened tonight was bound to become a hot topic in the circle. Li Mubai would get a good story, and Saw Jiahao would become a joke in the background. But Li Mubai didn't laugh at the loser at all, because all his attention was on Fanny. He stared at her and smiled, saying affectionately in the applause, "This song Li Mubai will give to everyone first. The second song is really for Sister Fanny. Although I didn't write it, I think it's the most suitable for her. The name of this song is called Beauty." At the same time, Li Mubai also said in his heart, "Thank you, Lu Chen." Note, Li Bai lyric/composer, Li Ronghao. Chapter 104. Deep into the night. In the bedroom, the lamp on the bedside table was still on. A thick, Western modern music book was opened and pressed against his chest. Lu Chen closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. The orange light shone on his face. The bright and dark outline looked like a plaster sculpture. Beep! The phone on the edge of the bed suddenly rang and vibrated violently. Lu Chen suddenly woke up. He abruptly sat up, his pitch-black eyes filled with confusion. After a while, they slowly regained clarity. Lu Chen just had a dream. In the dream, he returned to that world, but he couldn't tell if he was Su Bo, Mo Ran, or Fang Mingyi, or maybe he was none of them. In the dream, he was a lonely time traveler, a bystander of the mortal world. Regardless of the changes in the world, it had nothing to do with him. He just watched the joys and sorrows of the world with a cold gaze. Lu Chen thought he would never wake up until the end of the world. Fortunately, it was just a dream. He got up and went to the bathroom to wash his face. He was completely awake. He went back to the bedroom and looked at his phone. It was 1:32 in the morning. Lu Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly, and opened a message that he had just received from Yi Fubao, and was immediately stunned. This message reminded Lu Chen that someone had just transferred 200,000 yuan to his account. And it was anonymous. What the hell? Lu Chen rubbed his eyes in disbelief. He quickly looked at his Yi Fubao record. It was real. Who's the one who's giving away wealth? And it was such a huge amount of money. He was completely confused by the commotion. There was a message attached to the transaction. The content was very simple, "Thank you." It was these two words that made Lu Chen faintly understand. Among the people he knew, the only one who had the ability and motive to do such a thing was probably that person. But when Lu Chen called the other party to verify, the result was a voice message that the other party's phone was turned off. The next morning, Lu Chen rushed to Nirvana Studios. The production of Lu Chen's debut solo album will be completed by this studio, and the two sides have signed a formal contract, so he will often come here for a long time. In particular, several works to be performed in the Singing China competition have to be accompanied in advance. It was Wang Chongqing who received Lu Chen. The manager of Nirvana Studios gave him a surprise when he met him. "Mr. Liu, I've found a suitable office space for you." So fast. Lu Chen was surprised. "Where is it?" "He is going to open a music studio, located in the Blue Sky Creative Park. Although it is a little far from the city center, the environment is good, the surrounding commercial facilities are complete, and the operating cost is relatively low." So, the day before yesterday, Lu Chen asked Wang Chongqing to help him find a suitable office. He didn't expect there to be news today. Wasn't this efficiency a little too fast? Wang Chongqing said with a smile, "It's also a coincidence. Yesterday, I met a student who works in the park management committee. After asking him, I learned that several floors of A8 building are for rent, with an office area of 100 to 1,500 square meters. Blue Sky Creative Park belongs to the District Government Management Committee, which owns a number of office buildings. Among them, A7 and A8 are the best, just on the north and south sides of the park entrance, only tens of meters away from the subway exit. Originally, all the office floors of the two office buildings have long been rented out, but recently, a number of companies in A8 building have moved to a new building nearby, so several floors have been vacated for sublease. This is really a coincidence. If Wang Changxing didn't meet his students, it would probably be gone in a few days. According to his student, there were already a few sets that had been reserved in advance. I wanted to call you in the morning, and now you're here at the right time. After Lu Qin understood, he immediately became interested. Can I trouble manager Wang to accompany me to have a look? No problem. Wang Changxing said with a smile, don't worry about the arrangement of the album. Wang Jing has already started working yesterday. I promise it won't delay your competition and guarantee the quality of your work. I'll call now and ask my student out. As the saying goes, it's easy to have someone in the court. The property owned by the management committee is helped by the people in the management committee, so things are really much simpler. Wang Changxing's student, surnamed Su, is in his 30s and is the section chief of a department in the management committee. After meeting and getting to know each other, he is still very warm to Lu Qin and repeatedly praised Lu Qin for being young and promising. This makes Lu Qin feel a little embarrassed. Through the introduction of this section chief Su, Lu Qin knows that the A8 office building in Blue Sky Creative Park is 32 stories high. The first, second and third floors are rented to banks, restaurants, gyms and other commercial enterprises. The third floor and above are all office rooms. At present, there are vacant units for rent on the 15th, 19th and 26th floors. Under his guidance, Lu Qin and Wang Changxing came to the A8 office building together and visited the 3 floors. For the office conditions here, Lu Qin is really satisfied. He is still in the beginning stage, and the requirements are really not high. If he is not lucky, he may not be able to meet it. The opportunity is rare, so he can't miss it. The only thing that makes Lu Qin hesitate is that a 200 square meter suite on the 19th floor and a 150 square meter suite on the 26th floor are very suitable for his conditions, but he doesn't know which one to choose. Wang Changxing is experienced and analyzed for Lu Qin. Mr. Lu, if you have enough money, it is better to rent the 200 square meter suite. The house of the management committee will not easily increase the price. You can rent it for a few years with peace of mind. If the area is bigger, it will be convenient to expand the business in the future. Of course, it is better to be big. Lu Qin mainly wants to save some rent, but what Wang Changxing said is very reasonable, so he did not think for a long time and decided to rent the 200 square meter suite on the 19th floor. The former tenant of this office suite has been simply renovated. It is divided into a reception room, a large office area, 2 offices and a lounge. In addition, the bathroom is divided into men's and women's cubicles, which is spacious and comfortable enough. Although all the things inside have been moved away, as long as it is cleaned up and added a variety of office equipment, then it can quickly move in and start business. The rent of the house is 3.5 yuan per square meter per day. The 200 square meter area is equivalent to 21,000 yuan per month. It is not cheap, but compared to the location and conditions, it is very worth it. In addition, the annual property management fee is about 20,000 yuan. Now Lu Qin has a stable source of income. Otherwise, even if he opened a studio, he would at most rent a small suite of dozens of square meters to make a living. How could he be so extravagant to rent such a large room? It should be known that rent is one aspect. In the future, when he hires employees, the expenses of wages, taxes, utilities and so on are not small. After choosing the office building, Lu Qin was afraid that a long delay will cause trouble, so he simply went directly to the management committee with Section Chief Su to sign the contract. The management committee of Blue Sky Creative Park was very efficient. With the help of Section Chief Su, he signed a formal contract before noon and got the right to rent this property for a period of 2 years. According to the requirements of the contract, Lu Chen paid a total of 126,000 yuan. Mr. Liu, congratulations. After signing the contract, the person in charge of the management committee held Lu Chen's hand and said, "I wish you a great future in Blue Sky Creative Park." Lu Chen said with a smile, "Thank you." Originally, he wanted to invite the other party in section Chief Su to have lunch together at noon, but he was politely declined by the two. The management committee of the park is very strict in this regard. In the afternoon, when Lu Chen returned to his home, the first thing he did was to call Li Feiyu. The office was rented, but there were still many things to do, such as cleaning, purchasing supplies, decorating, applying for licenses, recruiting new employees, etc., all of which needed Li Feiyu to help him complete. There was also Lu Shi. He had to ask her to come to Beijing in advance. Lu Chen had a hunch that he would soon become very busy. He couldn't do without the help of trustworthy people. After talking with Li Feiyu on the phone, Lu Chen turned on the computer and logged into the Waves blog website. In this largest blog website in the country, he registered a new account. The ID was Lu Chen FMX. Lu Chen is himself, and FMX represents Fang Mingyi, Mo Ran and Su Bo. The establishment of this account also means that he has reached a new starting point in his life and career. In his personal information, Lu Chen filled in the word singer. He knew that this was temporary, and that in the future, actors, freelancers will be added, or more. The registration time was 16:27 on July 13, 2015. There were still 267 hours and 03 minutes before the live broadcast of Singing China, Beijing Singing District's Top 16 of 32 began. Chapter 105. July 24, 7:05 in the evening. Binhai City, Zhejiang Province, Building 7, Dongping District, Kitchen, Room 201. Fang Yun put the freshly washed dishes in the cupboard. "Mom, come here quickly." Lu Shui's crisp voice came from the small living room outside. "Brothers' competition is about to begin." "Got it." Fang Yun agreed, wiped her wet hands on her apron, and hurried out. She sat down next to Lu Shui and was stunned when she saw the picture on TV. She said angrily, "Where's your brother? It's clearly still on the news. You child, you only know how to lie to your mother." Lu Shui smilingly hugged Fang Yun's arm, leaned her head on her shoulder, and said, "If you don't come over, you must be busy again, so I tricked you into coming over to have a rest first, and soon it will be brother's turn. Let me clean up the house tomorrow." Fang Yun shook her head helplessly, but her eyes showed a doting look. Her eyes were still locked on the screen. 7:15. 2,000 kilometers away in Beijing, Beijing Normal University, Building 7, Room 305. Yi Zidong sat alone at the head of the bed, put on her headphones and turned on the computer. Her roommates have all gone out to play these days, but she didn't feel lonely at all. Instead, she had a sense of satisfaction of owning the whole world alone. She slid her finger and skillfully opened a website in the browser's favorites. According to the web page, the live broadcast of Beijing Television's Singing China to the top 16 of 32 has entered the countdown stage. Staring at the constantly jumping numbers, Yi Zidong's heart suddenly beat violently. Without her even knowing it, a faint blush appeared on her pretty face. As bright as a peach. 7:20. Ho hi, forget grass bar. Today is the first night of the weekend. Although it's not yet prime time, the bar is already full. Strangely, there are no singers singing on the stage, and even the music is turned off. The big LED screen shows the news of the TV station, and the logo in the upper left corner belongs to Beijing Television. Such a scene would have never appeared in the past, who would run to a bar to watch the news. After a while, Chen Jinhao walked onto the stage with a microphone in his hand. He said with a smile on his face, "I believe everyone already knows that tonight is the day when our Forget Grass Bar's former resident singer, Lu Qin, participates in Beijing Television's Singing China Top 16 of 32 competition. We are here to watch the live broadcast and cheer for Lu Qin. We are all his friends and relatives. Tonight's drinks will all be 20% off." Applause, laughter, whistles, and cheers suddenly rang out in the bar. Many regular customers raised their wine glasses, expressing their gratitude to Chen Jinhao and cheering for Lu Qin at the same time. Don't let everyone down. 7:25. Blue Sky Creative Park, Room 1905, A8 Building, Lu Qin Studio. The undecorated studio is in a mess, with desks and chairs everywhere, big and small cardboard boxes stacked in the corner, and the air is filled with a unique smell of latex paint. In the webcast studio, Li Feiyu sat in a brand new chair in high spirits. He wore big headphones, faced the same brand new computer, camera, and microphone, and shouted, "Attention, everyone, there are 5 minutes left, there are 5 minutes left to start the live broadcast. Put on the music, everyone get high, follow me, let's cheer for Lu Feide. Come on." Countless bullet screens were brushed on the screen, and fish balls fell like raindrops. One aircraft carrier after another sailed past majestically. 7:27. Beijing Television Studio, Backstage Waiting Area. Lu Qin, holding his favorite guitar, is waiting to go on stage. The host's impassioned voice came from outside. Tonight's Singing China Beijing Singing Area's Top 16 of 32 competition, because of the addition of the live audience and off-site audience voting, the delay time has been changed from 60 minutes to 5 minutes, which is a real live broadcast. And Lu Qin was arranged to appear first, with the number 001. Behind him, there are 31 contestants, all of whom are strong opponents who stand out from thousands of competitors. And tonight, half of the people will be eliminated and bid farewell to the stage. Lu Qin knows that in front of the TV and computer, many people who know or don't know him will see him sing, including his relatives and friends. But he was not nervous at all, as calm as if he was going to a friend's afternoon tea date. Next, let's invite Beijing Singing Area's Top 32 contestant number 001, Lu Qin, to the stage. Warm applause suddenly sounded, like a summer storm, sweeping across the big studio in an instant. It hit Lu Qin's eardrum. Lu Qin's eyes suddenly became bright, and the corners of his mouth hooked up into a faint smile. In the applause, he stepped up the steps, took a steady and powerful step to the center of the stage, and stood in the spotlight. At the same time, he faced 4 judges, 27 camera lenses, and 1,500 live audiences. Good evening to the 4 judges, good evening to the audience. Lu Qin looked straight ahead and said into the microphone, "I am contestant number 001, Lu Qin." With that, he bowed. The applause that had just calmed down sounded again, and the audience's love and support for him could be heard. A song, Life on a String, and In the Spring, made Lu Qin, who performed well in the preliminary round, sing his name in Singing China, and made many audiences no longer unfamiliar with him. Even if he skipped the semi-finals and directly advanced to the top 32. Last week, on July 19th, in the 3rd week of China Music Chart, after a month of promotion and publicity, In the Spring successfully topped the list. The Bionics became famous and became a hot new band, and as the original songwriter in the Spring, Lu Qin's name was firmly remembered by many insiders. One of the judges, Queen of Sweet Songs Chen Feier, smiled and asked, "Lu Qin, we meet again. What good song will you bring to everyone tonight? Is it still your own original work?" She showed an expectant expression, which just gave the camera a close-up shot. Lu Qin did not disappoint. He nodded and replied, "Yes, the song I brought to you tonight is very special. It's my first original work, a campus folk song. Its name is, You Who Sat Next to Me." Tan Hong said, "Then I'm looking forward to your wonderful singing." The music started. Lu Qin bowed his head slightly and gently plucked the strings. He began his singing. "Will you remember tomorrow, the diary you wrote yesterday? Will you still miss tomorrow, the you who used to love to cry the most? The teachers can't remember, the you who can't guess the problem. I only remembered you who sat next to me by chance when I flipped through the photos." Lu Qin had played and sung this song many times, but every time he played and sang it, he had a different feeling and experience. It can't be said that it was the best, but he sang it with the taste of his heart. The song itself was not complicated. It was a simple two-part style, and the range was not wide, only 6 degrees. But its melody was very beautiful, simple and easy to sing, and the lyrics were as long and delicate as silk. It easily touched people's feelings that had been hidden deep in their hearts, causing everyone to have a strong resonance and recall the past. This melodious and fresh song reflected the pure and hazy feelings of school days, so it has always been one of Lu Chen's most popular works. Different from the usual, this song has been rearranged by Nirvana Studios. Wang Jing added accordion and harmonica to the accompaniment. Big rich timbre also enhanced the nostalgic feeling of the melody. Therefore, when Lu Chen took out You Who Sat Next to Me and sang it on the real stage, the charm of this classic work not only did not fade, but became more and more touching. Even if you have heard it many times, you will still be deeply moved. The studio became quiet, very quiet, and everyone listened quietly and savored it. Many people, in Lu Chen's slightly sad narration, recalled the beautiful years of youth they had experienced, the borrowed eraser, the copied notebook, the 38th parallel on the table, those beautiful, beautiful, sweet, sweet, have all gone with the wind. Who tied up your long hair, who made your wedding dress, la, until Lu Chen finished singing, the audience was still silent. Clap. 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 The first to applaud was Judge Lin Jijie. In the eyes of the music director of Flying Stone Records, there was uncontrollable appreciation and appreciation. However, everyone seemed to wake up from a dream and applauded one after another. At first, it was disorderly, and then it immediately became neat and tidy. The sincere and warm applause was like a tide. Chen Fei was the first to stand up. Her eyes sparkled with a sparkling light, and she applauded Lu Chen. Many of the audience also stood up. Although the live broadcast of the competition has just begun, and Lu Chen is the first singer to appear, the atmosphere of the scene has already been pushed to a climax. "Thank you." Lu Chen bowed deeply and said sincerely, "Thank you, everyone." His heart was no longer calm. This feeling was really good. After a full minute, the applause finally subsided, and everyone sat back in their seats. Chen Fei said, "Lu Chen, I like your song. I like it very much." She was even a little excited, so I'll give you 10 points. As soon as her voice fell, the Queen of Sweet Songs pressed down on the scoreboard on the table and gave Lu Chen the highest score. Lu Chen was pleasantly surprised and only thanked, "Thank you, Teacher Chen." Singing China uses a combination of judges scoring and audience voting on and off-site to select the top 16, in which the proportion of judges' scores reaches 40%. Chen Fei's first 10 points is undoubtedly a heavy weight under the balance of Lu Chen's victory. She said with a smile, "I also thank you for letting me hear a good song, really." She smiled with tears in her eyes. She was as emotional as she was moved. Chapter 106. Whale TV, Lu Fei Live Broadcast Room. When Chen Fei gave the highest score of 10 for Lu Chen in the live broadcast screen, the entire live broadcast room was boiling. Long live Lu Feida. It's great, the anchor sang well. Chen Fei gave a beautiful score. I love Lu Feida, and I love Chen Fei. Do you think our anchor is big? Is it possible for her to be with Chen Fei? She looks very touched. Wake up, stop dreaming, get up and move the bricks. Why are you talking in your sleep? That's a good idea, but can you be realistic? Chen Fei is already 30 plus. I announce, from now on, I am a fan of Chen Fei. There is no suspense in the top 16. Reward. Li Feiyu, who hosted the live broadcast, had already roared hoarsely and laughed until his mouth cracked. Although he quit his job in the 4S store a few days ago, although he just came to Lu Chen's studio, although he was busy running around every day, although he still had to work overtime at night, but he has deeply fallen in love with this passionate and energetic job. Let the fish balls come more fiercely. Let the aircraft carriers rewarded by the nouveau riches crush me to death. In a certain floor of the A8 building in the Blue Sky Creative Park area, there was a cry like a ghost crying and a wolf howling. The bitter overtime dogs in the same building heard this and felt a chill run down their spines. It must be that the air conditioner was too low. Forget grass bar. On the big screen on the stage, Lin Jijie just gave the judges' score to Lu Qin. 10 points. The same 10 points as Chen Fei, the highest score. The bar suddenly burst into cheers. Many guests applauded and whistled loudly. Someone slammed the table and shouted, "Serve the wine, serve the wine." They all knew Lu Qin, knew this straightforward and handsome young man. Everyone felt it was a pity that Lu Qin did not continue to perform in Forget Worries Bar, but they were very happy to see him move towards a wider world. But now, Lu Qin really stood under the spotlight and appeared in front of hundreds of millions of TV viewers. A new star was rising in the music industry. Then they could proudly say to others, "Look at this talented and handsome guy, I've ordered his songs, drank with him, and talked about music with him." They shared the glory. Chen Jinhao stood behind the bar counter and announced loudly, "The next drink is on me." The cheers grew louder. Tonight's Forget Grass Bar was destined to be sleepless. The bartender David shook his head and asked, Boss Xiao Lu is only participating in the knockout competition. There are still many competitions after that. If he wins, are you going to treat all of Forget Worries Bar?" Chen Jinhao stared blankly for a moment before bursting into laughter. He reached out and patted the bartender's shoulder. "You don't understand. Beijing Normal University Female Dormitory." Yi Zidong nervously stared at the laptop screen. Her teeth bit her red lips, her left hand pressed on the computer's touchpad, and her right hand couldn't help but grab the sheet, as if she would shout at any time. Chen Fei gave Lu Qin 10 points, and Lin Jijie also gave Lu Qin 10 points. What about the next one? The next one was Zhen Zhen. The editor-in-chief of Pop Music magazine gave Lu Qin a score of 9 points. Only 9 points. Obviously, it was already a very high score, but Yi Zidong was very disappointed. Even Zhen Zhen was not pleasing to the eye. "Why did you only give him 9 points?" Zhen Zhen commented, "You wrote this song very well and sang it very well. It's just that you lack a bit of depth in your emotions, so I'll give you 9 points. I hope you continue to work hard and make persistent efforts." Lu Qin smiled and bowed, "Thank you, Teacher Zhen Zhen." Seeing such a scene, Yi Zidong couldn't help but feel sullen. She closed the screen with a click. But after only 3 seconds, she reopened it. She hadn't seen Tan Hong's score yet. Tan Hong would definitely give Lu Qin 10 points. Yi Zidong was completely sure. 10 points. In the Dongping district of Binhai City, Lu Shui suddenly jumped up from the sofa and shouted with joy. Mom, 10 Hong. 10 Hong also gave brother 10 points. Fong Yun smiled, but her eyes were fixed on the TV screen, where her son was bowing and thanking the judges. Her son, who she worried about day and night, had really grown up. Not only did he earn a lot of money, but he also appeared on TV, enjoying the joy and honor of success. Fong Yun didn't know that Lu Qin had such talent. His future achievements would definitely surpass his father. Thinking of Lu Qingxing, Fong Yun's eyes were filled with tears. Old Lu, you're in heaven. Do you know that your son is so promising? He's going to be a star. Fong Yun smiled, and there were tears in her smile. Chen Fei, 10 points, Lin Jijie 10 points, Xin Zhen 9 points, 10 Hong 10 points. All 4 judges gave their scores, and they gave Lu Chen's song, You Who Sat Next to Me, a total score of 39 points. A near-perfect score. This meant that Lu Qin got 39% of the 40% of the judges' votes. It could almost be said that he was in an invincible position. Unless he was defeated in the voting session of the live audience and the off-site audience. But how was that possible? There was no need to say more about the audience now. The applause just now was so warm, and the supporters were by no means a small number. As for the off-site audience voting, hundreds of thousands of Whale TV fans were hungry and thirsty. Therefore, Lu Chen's place in the top 16 was in the bag. With full confidence, he returned to the backstage. In the top 16 of 32 competition, the winner list was announced at the end, so even if Lu Qin was the first to appear, he couldn't leave. He had to stay here until the end of the show. The other contestants in the backstage lounge all looked at Lu Qin, who had returned with honor, with envious and jealous eyes. They all saw Lu Chen's performance clearly. The judges' score of 39 points was simply a high mountain for most people, and it was impossible to surpass it. Even if they were side by side, they couldn't do it. With this honor and qualification, Lu Qin can basically determine his position in the top 10 of Beijing's singing area. That's right, top 10, not top 16. Senior Lu, a lovely girl, came up to him and congratulated him sincerely. Congratulations, this song is really nice. Lu Qin said with a smile, thank you. You can do it too. The other party was Mu Xiaochu, whom Lu Qin met in the preliminary round, a little girl from the College of Foreign Languages. She passed the preliminary and semi-finals, and also got a place in the top 32 to participate in tonight's top 16 competition. At this time, a staff member rushed over. He asked softly, Mr. Lu Qin, is it convenient for you now? The director of our program group wants to see you. The director of Singing China program group is looking for him. Lu Qin was more or less surprised. He nodded to Mu Xiaochu quietly, and then said to the staff, no problem. Well, please follow me. Under the leadership of the on-site staff, Lu Qin left the backstage of the studio. Through the winding corridor, the two came to an office. There were already several people in the room. When they saw Lu Qin coming in, they all stood up. The staff introduced to Lu Qin, this is the music director of our program group, Gurue Director Gu. Gurue is a gentle middle-aged man in his 40s. He is thin and tall, with black-rimmed glasses, and has a bit of a musician's demeanor. Several other people in the office are also members of the program group. After Lu Qin sat down, Gurue personally poured him a cup of tea. The music director was not sticky. He went straight to the point and said, Lu Qin, on behalf of the program group, I want to ask you if you would like to transfer the copyright of the song you sang last time to our Beijing television. We will use this song, Life on a String, as the theme song of Singing China, and use it in the singing area PK. So that's how it is. Gurue's request did not surprise Lu Qin. As early as after the audition, he prepared the song Life on a String for himself. His goal was to aim at the theme of Singing China, and he directly showed it in the qualifying round. In fact, it took Beijing Television 2 weeks to find him, which really surprised Lu Qin. He thought that the other party would soon negotiate with him. Of course, on the surface, Lu Qin remained calm and said with a smile, "That's no problem at all. I'm very happy that my song was chosen by the program group." Guruwei was obviously relieved and said, "Then let's talk about the terms of the copyright transfer now." To his surprise, Lu Qin hesitated for a moment and said, "Director Gu, the situation is like this. I'm happy to transfer the copyright of this song to you, but the specific terms have to be negotiated by my agent." "Your agent?" Guruwei asked in surprise. "You have an agent?" In the information he had about Lu Qin, there was no mention of Lu Qin having an agent. This is troublesome. Guruwei originally wanted to use the name of the program group to easily win the copyright of Life on a String. As a result, Lu Qin unexpectedly brought out the magic weapon of agent. He suddenly felt that he might have underestimated the handsome young man in front of him. Lu Qin saw the change in Guruwei's expression and said with a smile, "Director Gu, don't worry. I don't think my agent will put forward any outrageous conditions. After all, Singing China has such a great influence." Lu Qin is trying to use Singing China to make a name for himself and promote himself. Of course, he will not put forward excessive conditions. In fact, even if it's free authorization to the other party, some principles still have to be adhered to. Otherwise, it's easy to be treated as a soft persimmon. At this time, the role of an agent is big. Guruwei couldn't help asking, "When can your agent come over and talk to us?" Lu Qin grinned and said, "How about next Monday?" Chapter 107. Young people nowadays are really amazing. Guruwei looked at the young man with a sunny smile in front of him, and his heart was filled with emotion. As a senior in the industry and the current music director of Singing China, he has seen many newcomers who have just broken into the entertainment industry. Some of them are arrogant, some are naive, some are cautious and timid, and some are servile. In Guruwei's impression, there are very few newcomers who can be like Lu Qin. In the face of a behemoth like Beijing Television, his attitude is still polite and modest, and there is no background force behind him. Unlike several contestants who performed well in the promotion competition, Lu Qin did not sign up with an entertainment or agency. Or rather, who gave him such great courage and confidence? An agent who doesn't know if he exists or not? Guruwei can't guess the answer. But the music director can see that Lu Qin is not pretending to be calm. His eyes are bright and clear, and his smile is sincere and kind. Although polite, he always sticks to his bottom line and does not make promises easily. Even for him, this is an excellent opportunity to get closer to Beijing Television. Such a young man has a boundless future. Guruwei immediately said with a smile, "Monday is fine. I'll leave you a phone number. Keep in touch at any time." Although Guruwei represents Beijing Television's Singing China program team, it doesn't matter to him whether he can buy or pay the price to get the copyright of Life on a String. He has a good impression of Lu Qin. Guruwei handed Lu Qin a business card. Lu Qin got up and took it with both hands and said, "Thank you, Director Gu." This small detail made Guruwei feel quite comfortable. A 22-year-old young man who has just graduated from college is rarely so polite. It usually takes several years of experience in society to learn. Many of them will never even learn, or disdain to learn. Guruwei's attitude became more and more amiable. "You're welcome. Our production team admires your talent very much. We hope that you can overcome all the difficulties and fight your way to the finals and bring more and more wonderful works to the audience. Good luck." Lu Qin thanked him again and left. Back in the backstage of the studio, the third contestant has just finished his singing. Her performance was probably not very good. Among the 4 judges, Lin Jijie and Jinjin only gave her 4 points, Chen Feier gave her 6 points, and Tan Hong gave her 5 points. Altogether, she only got 19 points. If there were no accidents, this contestant would probably be eliminated from the competition. So she left the stage in tears. The current reality talent show competition was so cruel, especially in the promotion stage. One abnormal performance was very likely to be directly eliminated, and it was not easy to get the resurrection egg in the hands of the judges. The match continued. The 32 contestants sang on stage one by one and accepted the judges' scores. It was undoubtedly a long process. However, Lu Chen has enough patience to wait for the time to pick the fruits of victory. At 11:15 p.m., all the singers finished singing. The host immediately announced that the voting results of the audience inside and outside the venue would be announced, and the top 16 would be announced. Because there were many contestants in this competition, all their audience votes were centralized by the computer system, and the results were announced at the same time to save time. The next singing area final for the top 10 of the 16 should be announced on the spot, rather than waiting until it was all over. Now, let's look forward to the birth of the top 16 contestants in the Singing China, Beijing singing area. They are, with the host's impassioned speech, the atmosphere at the scene was pushed to a new climax. The 1,500 spectators in the studio were all looking forward to it. Everyone's eyes were focused on the big screen in the background. On the huge screen, the logo of Singing China continued to flash, indicating that the answer to the mystery was about to be revealed. The 4 judges, Tan Hong, Chen Feier, Lin Jijie and Jin Jin, clapped their hands. The picture on the screen suddenly changed, and a golden number jumped out. 16. In the next moment, the number suddenly exploded into specks of golden light, and the identity of the 16th winner was revealed. Lin Yaro. Contestant name, Lin Yaro. Contestant No. 023 Song, Summer Night Stand. Judges total score, 27 points. Audience votes, 1025 votes. Off-site audience votes, 162,540 votes. Overall score, 77. 69 points. In the backstage of the studio, a woman with long hair covering her face with her hands, sobbing with joy. She is undoubtedly Lin Yaro, who has just entered the top 16. Although she is ranked last, it means that she has defeated half of her opponents and entered a higher level of competition. Whether she can enter the top 10 of Beijing's singing area or not, it is already a victory. In previous talent shows, there have been many contestants who have been eliminated in the promotion competition who have been noticed by entertainment agencies, and thus successfully signed a contract and made a debut, doing better than defeating their opponents. Therefore, it's very important to brush your face. The further you brush your face, the more chances you have. Then the 15th, 14th, 13th were announced in turn. The top 16 contestants appeared one after another, and the cheers of the audience rose and fell one after another, and warm applause continued. Everyone will have a strong sense of satisfaction when they see the contestant they support and like successfully promoted. In the backstage rest area, some contestants were silent, some were cheering, some were excited, and some were crying. There is nothing more torturous and test of willpower than this process. Until the third contestant appeared, Lu Chen did not see his name. But he still sat steadily, calm and composed. In contrast, those who sat in front of TVs and computers and persisted for more than 3 hours couldn't bear it, especially Lu Chen's relatives, friends and fans. Fang Yun rubbed her eyes and said with a wry smile, "Nowadays programs are too good at suspending people's appetite." Lu Shua clenched her small fists and said with certainty, "Mom, rest assured. Brother will definitely win, champion." In the Forget Grass bar, the regular customers didn't even drink. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the screen. Won't he be eliminated? That's absolutely impossible. Yi Zidong said to herself secretly, completely not noticing her roommates who had just returned to the dormitory. Although the school had already started its summer vacation, many people were still willing to stay in this super big city to spend the hot summer, because there were too many wonderful days to enjoy here. Yi Zidong's life was not rich and colorful, but this was the first time she applied to stay at school during the summer vacation. Just to stay on the bed in the dormitory and watch a talent show. In Lu Fei's live broadcast, the number of 950,000 plus online audiences bullet screen had reached a terrifying level. If the bullet screen was not divided into sections, there was no way to watch the live broadcast at all. Oh, there are only 2 places left. Do you think our Lu Fei will be eliminated? Bah bah bah. Don't jinx it. Our anchor is 100% the champion. I'm so nervous, so nervous, so nervous. Everyone calm down. If it's not the first or second place, believe me, Wang Banxian, 100% right. I don't know what you are nervous about. General Liu has the highest judges' score. Will he be eliminated? Yes, yes, the anchor will definitely win. I really admire Beijing television. They made the top 16 of 32 like the national finals. If the anchor is eliminated, I will eat shit live. Ha, you are all too naive. At this time, the second place in the top 16 was announced, Mu Xiaochu. Warm applause sounded in the studio and the backstage rest area at the same time. Whether it was those who were destined to be eliminated or those who had successfully advanced, they all congratulated this beautiful and shy little girl. Thank you everyone. Mu Xiaochu's pretty face turned red. She stood up a little bewildered and bowed to thank them again and again. She didn't expect that she could win the runner-up position in the top 16. While thanking them, Mu Xiaochu's eyes couldn't help but look at Lu Qin, who was also applauding her. At this moment, the question in her mind was the ownership of the last place. Is it Lu Chen's? Not only Mu Xiaochu, but also many contestants in the backstage rest area were secretly speculating. Although Lu Chen got the highest judges' score, and his creative talent is obvious to all, it is hard to guarantee that the Singing China program team will come up with a big news and directly eliminate Lu Chen to create a hot topic. Such a method has been common in various talent shows in the past. The so-called big heat is bound to die. And Lu Chen doesn't have to really die immediately. Don't forget that the 4 judges still have a resurrection golden egg in their hands. They can let him be accidentally eliminated first, and then successfully resurrect him into the top 16 candidates list, and still participate in the following competition. In this way, the dramatic effect is achieved, and the purpose of hype has been achieved. Everyone is happy. As for whether Lu Chen is willing to be fooled, does he, a newcomer, dare to fight against Beijing television? That would be a big joke. Lu Chen noticed the strange looks from the other contestants, and he even knew what the other party was thinking. But Lu Chen didn't care at all. How could a swallow and sparrow know the ambition of a swan? On the big screen on the stage, the word "one" was finally displayed, and a beautiful crown was used as a foil. Singing China, Beijing singing area, the first contestant in the top 16 of 32 is out. He is Lu Chen. Contestant name, Lu Chen. Contestant number, 001. Song, You Who Sat Next to Me. Judges total score, 39 points. Audience votes, 1,469 votes. Off-site audience votes, 726,502 votes. Overall score, 95. 35 points. That's right, it's Lu Chen. Beijing television didn't play any tricks. His title as the champion is well-deserved. Thunderous applause suddenly sounded inside and outside the studio, and many audiences applauded and stood up, cheering for their favorite singer. Chapter 108. Amidst the beautiful music, all the contestants who advanced to the top 16 of Singing China, Beijing singing area appeared on the stage. The TV camera gave Lu Qin a big close-up. Fixed focus. Fang Yun couldn't help but reach out and rub her eyes, wiping away the tears overflowing from the corners of her eyes. Lu Shuel leaned in her arms, holding her mobile phone and smiling happily. Forget grass bar. The customers are toasting. Whether they know each other or not, drink up this bar. Yi Zidong closed her notebook contentedly, but she suddenly found that 3 roommates were in front of her bed, staring at her with strange and ambiguous eyes. In Lu Fei's live broadcasting room, the celebratory atmosphere created by nearly 1 million online viewers reached its peak. Because Lu Qin won. Because our anchor Lu Fei won and successfully reached first place in the top 16. Everyone was a witness and a participant in it. This is also a victory that belongs to everyone. The next afternoon, at the exit of the capital high-speed railway station, Lu Qin stood in the crowded crowd. He looked at the passengers passing through the gate in front of him, looking for familiar figures. The LED electronic screen hanging above the gate clearly showed that train G31 had arrived at the station. Lu Qin is no stranger to this high-speed train. A year ago, he took the G31 from Binhai to Beijing to work. And today, he came to pick up his sister, Lu Xi. Last night, after the end of Singing China competition, Lu Qin called Lu Xi, hoping that the latter would come to Beijing in the next 2 days to help him complete the copyright transfer negotiations with Beijing Television. In fact, this is not a big deal, but for Lu Xi, it is an excellent opportunity to train. She has agreed to be Lu Chen's agent. Even Lu Chen didn't expect that Lucy would agree without hesitation and come here today. She didn't even ridicule Lu Qin as usual. More and more passengers passed through the gate, and fewer people came out of the station. However, Lu Xi was nowhere to be seen. Lu Qin couldn't help but feel a little anxious. He took out his phone and prepared to call her. At this moment, a woman wearing a plain dress and dragging a suitcase walked over from the passage ahead. Lu Qin heaved a sigh of relief and waved his hand. Sister. This woman who came late was his sister, Lu Xi. Lu Xi glanced at Lu Qin. She took the ticket and passed through the gate with an indifferent expression. Let me do it. Lu Qin hurried forward to help her carry the big suitcase. Lu Xi tightened her grip on the lever, but in the end, she let go and gave it to Lu Qin. When he got out of the high-speed rail station, there was already a car waiting outside. In order to welcome the arrival of Lu Xi, Lu Qin specially asked Li Feiyu to help him rent a car, which was very convenient. This is Li Feiyu, Lu Qin introduced the part-time driver to Lu Xi. He is a friend I met in the capital, and also a helper at work. This is my sister, Lu Xi, the bustling Xi. Li Feiyu quickly greeted, Hello, Sister Lu Xi. I am now De Chen's assistant. Hello. Lu Xi nodded and said, You have some of the boss's style now. You even have an assistant. She said the last 2 sentences to Lu Qin. Lu Qin smiled bitterly. It was still a familiar taste. This was his sister, Lu Xi. Her words were always thorny. Of course, it was only for him. Li Fei shrunk his head, sensing that the relationship between the two of them was not very harmonious. He very cleverly shut his mouth. Originally, Lu Qin was going back to the apartment first, but Lu Xi wanted to go to the studio, so he turned to the Blue Sky Entrepreneurial Park on 5th Ring Road. Lu Qin's studio, located on the 19th floor of A8 building, is still very messy. Although the wall paint has been painted, because the custom-made desk and computer chair have not arrived, it looks empty, as if it has been blown by a strong wind. There were cardboard boxes of computer hosts, displays, printers, and so on stacked in the corner, and the floor was mopped clean. Once the tables and chairs were in place, business could be opened immediately. Of the two offices, one was temporarily transformed into a webcast room, with new computer microphones and other equipment purchased. When Lu Chen was unable to host the live broadcast, Li Feiyu served as the anchor. Lu Chen completed the live broadcast of Singing China in the top 16 of 32 competition through this room. At present, Whale TV's anchor job is still his most important source of income. As for the other uninstalled office, Lu Chen was going to leave it to Lu Shi. He hoped that in addition to serving as his agent, Lu Shi could also serve as the manager of the studio. With his sister's ability, there was no problem at all. As for Lu Chen himself, it was enough to concentrate on his music career. Maybe he would also be involved in acting in the future. The only problem was that there were not many employees in the studio at present, and they needed to recruit and replenish them. As for the business license, it was handled as early as 3 days ago. The studio, named after Lu Chen himself, has a registered capital of 100,000 yuan. It is a small and micro enterprise strongly supported by the government at present, so it enjoys preferential policies and resources in the Blue Sky Entrepreneurial Park. Not to mention that the speed of applying for the license is extremely fast. After entering the park, the studio is exempted from tax for the first year, the tax is reduced by half in the second year, and the tax is fully reduced in the third year, but you can apply for rent subsidies. In terms of operating environment, it is one of the best in Beijing. After understanding the situation, Lu Shi was obviously very satisfied. But this didn't mean that she was equally satisfied with Lu Chen. I have quit all the jobs in Binhai. This time I came to Beijing to live for a long time and take the postgraduate entrance examination. My mother wants me to help you and supervise you. The entertainment industry is so chaotic now, and we don't want you to fall in it. Lu Chen still smiled bitterly. After entering the 21st century, the domestic entertainment industry has flourished with the rise of the internet world. The scale is getting larger and larger, and stars are emerging one after another. The pop music and film and television industries are facing unprecedented changes, so it is inevitable that there will be a lot of negative effects. Who has been photographed cheating? Who has been caught taking drugs? Who has been fighting with who? Who has been exposed to unspoken rules? The general public likes stars and idols, but everyone's impression of the entertainment industry is not very good. Except for a very small number of people, no one in the entertainment industry is a real white lotus. Lu Chen was about to step into such a strange and dazzling circle. It was normal for Fang Yun to worry. If he had Lu Shi by his side to help him and supervise him, the situation would be much better. Lu Chen could fully understand his mother's thoughts. In addition, Lu Shi continued, "There is no problem for you to let me be the manager of the studio, but when it comes to the studio, you must listen to my opinion. Otherwise, there is no need for me to stay here." Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "There should be no problem with this. If I have an idea, I will discuss it with you first." Even if they were siblings, there would still be contradictions in work, so communication was very important. Lu Shi thought for a moment and reluctantly nodded. "Okay, in addition, the studio needs to recruit a clerk and my assistant. I want a woman. I will take care of the finance myself. There is no need to find another person. I will also recruit a receptionist and a professional in online media promotion. First, we will set up the framework of the studio, and then slowly expand it later." She quickly got into her new role. In addition to recruiting employees, she also put forward her own opinions on the layout of the office. Her words were clear and reasonable. Lu Chen was confused and quickly said, "Sister, you can arrange these things. I will ask Li Gu to help you first. The receptionist Li Ji's friend may be willing to come. Others can be arranged by you." After that, Lu Chen handed over a bank card that had been prepared. He said to Lu Shi, "All the funds of the studio are here. You can use it as you see fit. The password is your birthday. There was a total of 400,000 yuan in this card, which was most of the money that Lu Chen had earned some time ago, including the live broadcast tips, the anchor's salary, and the 200,000 yuan given by Li Bai. A lot of it had been used to pay for the rent of the office and the purchase of items. Lu Shi did not refuse. She took the bank card and looked at Lu Chen with a little more softness in her eyes. Let me take care of the money you earn in the future. Anyway, it will be used to pay off the debt at home. Lu Chen had no objection. He knew how much Lu Shi had done for the family in the past 2 years, at least much more than he had. And now it was time for him to bear the heavy responsibility. After visiting the studio, Lu Chen took Lu Shi to the rented apartment. He first sent Li Feiyu home, and then drove to Jincheng Yuan. As early as when he was 18 years old, Lu Chen got a driver's license, but he had not driven much in the past 2 or 3 years, so he was careful on the road. He did not speed up until he got the feel of the car back. When he got home, he opened the door of the room and carried the heavy suitcase in first. Lu Shi followed him in. She took off her shoes and looked inside and outside. She said, "It's not as messy as I thought." Lu Chen could only smile bitterly. He had smiled bitterly many times today. When he was at home, he really did not pay much attention to hygiene. "Sister, you can live in this apartment first." Lu Shi was stunned and asked, "Then where do you live?" This apartment only had 1 bedroom and 1 living room. If they lived together, Lu Chen could only sleep on the sofa. But he had other plans. "There is a lounge in the studio. It's enough for me to live, and it's convenient for work." Lu Shi was silent for a moment and said, "Actually, you don't have to be so good to me," Lu Chen interrupted her. "You are my sister." Lu Shi was silent again. After a moment, she said, "Then take me to the nearby shopping mall. I want to buy something. Don't go to those high-end places. It's a waste of money." Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "Then let's go to Hathaway Mall. The things there are good and cheap." Hathaway Mall was located near the university town. It was a mid-range shopping mall, so it was favored by college students and ordinary white-collar workers. Moreover, the discounts in the mall were often very high during the off-season of summer vacation. In addition, after shopping, they could eat in the mall, and it was also very convenient to go to Forget Grass Bar in the evening. Lu Chen was going to introduce Lu Shi to Qinjianhao. Lu Shi was not familiar with the capital, so of course, she did not object to his arrangement. Chapter 109. Although the name of Hathaway Mall was not trendy, it was a well-known brand in the area around the university town. Its scale was large enough to concentrate shopping malls, supermarkets, restaurants, cinemas, internet cafes, game halls, and other popular commercial facilities. It wouldn't be boring to play in it for a day. There was food, drink, and entertainment, and it was fun. The business positioning of Hathaway Mall was very clear. The target audience was the hundreds of thousands of teachers and students in the university town and the ordinary white-collar and blue-collar workers in the nearby business district. There were basically no luxury brands in the mall. It mainly sold mid-range goods. Lu Chen had been to Hathaway Mall more than once before, so he was still very familiar with the area. He drove Lu Shi to the parking lot in the north of the mall and then walked along the pedestrian path to the interior of the mall. Because it was the weekend, the mall was very lively with people coming and going. "Let's eat first." Lu Chen looked at the time and said, "The Yunjin restaurant here tastes good and the price is reasonable." Lu Shi said, "That's good. It's enough to order 2 or 3 dishes." "I can't eat much." Lu Chen said with a smile, "I've been eating a lot recently. 2 or 3 dishes are not enough. I need at least 5 or 6. Lu Shi reached out and squeezed his arm and said, "You are a lot stronger." She rarely did this to Lu Chen in the past. They were both in a strange city and for the same goal. The gap between the two was slowly melting. Just as they were talking, 4 girls came from the front door and happened to meet the two of them. One of the girls in a yellow shirt was stunned, and her face showed a look of disbelief. The girl in a white dress who was following her suddenly turned pale. This girl was Yi Zidong. The 4 girls in the same dormitory chose to live on campus during the summer vacation and stayed in Beijing for the rest of the summer. Tonight, Yi Zidong was dragged to the mall by Zhuo Xintian with her other 2 roommates. They never expected to bump into Lu Qin in Hathaway Mall. When she saw Lu Qin chatting and laughing intimately with the woman beside him, she felt as if her heart had been pierced by a sharp knife. Although Yi Zidong knew very well that she and Lu Qin weren't really boyfriend and girlfriend, the scene in front of her still made her feel ashamed, angry, painful, and embarrassed. Not only Zhuo Xintian, but the other 2 roommates also knew Lu Qin and knew that they were dating. Lu Qin. Zhuo Xintian was the first to yell, "How could you do this?" She was about to rush forward and argue with Lu Qin, but Yi Zidong stopped her. "Forget it," Zhuo Xintian was exasperated. "How can you forget it? You like him so much, and he's like this." In Zhuo Xintian's eyes, Lu Qin was simply the legendary Qin Shimi's heartbreaker. He had shown his face on TV, and as soon as he became a little famous, he began to fool around. He actually dated another woman behind Yi Zidong's back. This was intolerable. What annoyed Zhuo Xintian the most was that in terms of appearance, the women around Lu Qin couldn't compare to Yi Zidong at all. Yi Zi. Lu Qin, who was also shocked, suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hurriedly went forward and asked Yi Zidong, "You and Tian are also shopping in the mall?" Yi Zidong turned her head and ignored him, but her eyes were red. Tian, let's go." Zhuo Xintian and the other 2 girls looked at Lu Qin with disdain. Their gazes were like knives cutting flesh and scraping bones. Lu Shi looked at them with a faint smile on her face. Lu Qin hurriedly grabbed Yi Zidong's hand, afraid that she would ignore everything and run away. That would really be a big misunderstanding. "Yi Zi, this is my sister, Lu Shi. She just came from home today." "Aw. Sister." The 3 girls were stunned. At this time, they realized that Lu Shi and Lu Qin were really similar. They were brother and sister. What a joke. Zhuo Xintian wanted to find a hole to hide in, and her face was as red as an autumn apple. Yi Zidong struggled to break free from Lu Qin's hand, but when she heard his explanation, she was also stunned. A faint blush appeared on her pale face, and she was at a loss for a moment. This misunderstanding was really a bit big, and the worst thing was that she had no reason to be jealous. After all, the 2 of them only had a good impression of each other. At this time, Lu Shi came over and asked with a smile, "Hello, I am Lu Qin's sister, Lu Shi. Are you his friend?" Lu Qin let go of Yi Zidong's hand and introduced a little awkwardly, "Sister, this is Yi Zidong. They are all students of Beijing Normal University, and they are friends I met in Beijing." Yi Zidong suppressed her shyness and gathered her courage to raise her head and said, "Sister Lu Shi, hello." Lu Shi said with a smile, "It's nice to meet you. Your name is Yi Zi, right? I just settled down in Beijing, and now I want to buy something, but I don't know where to go. Can you help me look around?" In front of Yi Zidong, Lu Shi was completely a gentle and amiable big sister, and she couldn't help but nod. After the misunderstanding was resolved, Yi Zidong introduced Lu Shi to Zhuo Xintian and her other 2 classmates. The age difference between the girls was not very big, so they quickly became familiar with each other. As a result, Lu Qin was left out in the cold. Fortunately, they still had to eat. After a discussion, they went to Yunjin restaurant to share a table. Lu Shi seemed to like Yi Zidong very much, and kept talking to her. Even when they were eating, they didn't let go. After a meal, the two of them called each other Sister Shi and Zitong. After eating this sumptuous dinner, Lu Qin paid the bill. His elder sister was a big adult and didn't ask him to accompany the girls to the mall to act as a bag man, that is, the kind of role that carries bags. She said that she would contact them after they had bought something. It must have been a long time. Lu Qin thought about it, and simply went to the internet cafe on the top floor of the mall to surf the internet to kill time. After registering with his ID card and turning on a computer, he logged on to the web and searched for related content of Singing China. As a result, he found a lot of things. As the first contestant in the top 16 of Singing China, Beijing Singing District, except for the official website of Singing China, Lu Chen's name is basically nowhere to be seen on other websites, and the few that are reprinted are only small websites with little fame. In some forums and post bars, there are a lot of discussions about Lu Chen, mainly talking about his original works. In sharp contrast to Lu Chen, several contestants in the top 16 have far surpassed him in keyword search items, such as newcomer Zheng Kai performed well, conquered the judges with his natural singing voice, and won the top 16 seat of Singing China, Beijing Singing District, and so on. Lu Chen is well aware of the reason. That is, these contestants have signed up with entertainment agencies, and there is a team behind them to hype and promote, so those big websites will put up promotional articles, and search everywhere. In this regard, Lu Chen doesn't feel uncomfortable or aggrieved, because the current entertainment industry is like this. It's hard to become popular without spending money to hype. If there is no topic, you have to create a topic to attract attention. Newcomers like him who purely rely on themselves are completely rare. Being willing to give up, only by giving up can one gain. Abandoning vanity, Lu Chen obtained autonomy and freedom. Moreover, gold will always shine. Now it's just a competition in the Beijing Singing District. When it comes to the tour competition and the finals, his name will inevitably be known by more and more people. Even if he doesn't spend money, he may still be able to make headlines. In addition, Lu Chen is also organizing his own team to strengthen online publicity. After closing the news search, he logged on to the Waves blog again. Lu Chen FMX's account was registered 2 weeks ago and has been certified as a personal V account. At present, it has more than 75,000 fans, basically all of whom are Whale TV fans. Thanks to Li Bai's help in publicity, otherwise, Lu Chen might not have gotten so many fans by himself. According to this local tyrant, in fact, it's too easy to increase his fans. It's very simple to spend some money to buy millions or tens of millions of fans. With a little packaging, he can become the so-called Big V, that is, a celebrity in the blog. It's just that for this kind of Big V made up of zombie fans, Lu Chen still politely declined. Because he doesn't like to deceive others, and he doesn't like to deceive himself. Time flew by as he updated 2 posts on his blog and answered a lot of questions from his fans. At about 9:00, Lu Shi called. They were finally done with their stroll. Lu Chen got off the plane, paid the bill and left. Back at the main entrance of the mall, he saw Lu Shi and the 4 girls again. Everyone was carrying big and small bags. They had a lot of harvest in the evening. After meeting, Lu Shi said to Lu Chen, "Give me the car keys and the keys to your house. I'll send Tian and the others back to school first and then go home by myself. You can accompany Zidong." Lu Chen looked at her in surprise, and then looked at Yi Zidong. The latter blushed and didn't speak. Naturally, she didn't object. Zhou Xintian pursed her lips and said with a smile, "You two are so fun. It doesn't matter if you come back late. Goodbye." She winked at Yi Zidong. The redness on Yi Zidong's face deepened, and she glared at her. Lu Chen was a little worried and asked, "Sister, do you know how to get to Jincheng Yuan?" He was afraid that Lu Shi wouldn't be able to find the way back. Lu, she said, even if I don't remember the way, can't I use my mobile phone to navigate? Lu Chen admitted defeat and gave her the car keys and the keys to his house. After Lu she left with Shuixintian and the other two girls, only Lu Chen and Yi Zidong were left. Speaking of which, since the last time they went skating, the two hadn't seen each other for a while. They just chatted through WeChat. Now that he met her again, Lu Chen's heart couldn't help but feel a trace of tenderness. Today may have been a coincidence, but it may be fate between the two. He naturally took Yi Zidong's hand and said, "Are you tired of shopping? Let's go to the ice shop over there." Yi Zidong nodded softly. After a small misunderstanding, the relationship between the two has undoubtedly taken a big step forward. Although the relationship hasn't been made clear yet, it is precisely this kind of hazy emotion that is the most touching. At this moment, Lu Chen didn't know, on the internet, a storm of public opinion that was closely related to him was about to sweep across. Chapter 110. On Monday morning, when the battle for office workers began, Wang Jiashi was like a berserker charging into battle. He took heavy and powerful steps, rushed into the elevator before many competitors, and firmly occupied the best position in the middle near the door. The poor elevator car trembled under his weight of more than 100 kilograms, and the steel cable hanging above made a crunching sound. Finally, it barely withstood the difficult test. It was just that other people in the elevator couldn't help but be a little scared and have some kind of bad association. The white-collar man who was one step behind just stepped in, and the overloaded buzzer suddenly sounded. Under everyone's cold gaze, he could only retreat and stare at Wang Jiashi with infinite resentment. If this guy wasn't here, at least two people like him could squeeze in. Wang Jiashi had already trained his face to be +10 in defense. He completely ignored the sputtering eyes and waited for the elevator door to close. On the 10th floor, he was the first to rush out. When Wang Jiashi rushed into the company and finished punching his card, the LCD clock hanging on the card punching machine showed exactly 9 o'clock. On his first day back from vacation, he was not late. Fatty Wang wiped the sweat on his forehead with lingering fear. He felt like he had escaped from death. Half a year ago, his company, Xinxianyi, changed its major shareholder. The new CEO, a new official, was very strict. He formulated very strict rules and regulations. If he was late once, his full attendance bonus would be deducted, and if he was late twice, his monthly performance bonus would be deducted. Wang Jiashi was fat and liked to sleep. In addition, his biological clock didn't adjust in time during his half-month vacation, so he overslept and was almost late. Fortunately, he swiped his card on time. "Old Wang, you're back. Brother Wang, is Phuket fun? Look at you, you're tanned. Editor Wang, I've put your worksheet on your desk." 2 sheets of printed paper. Meeting at 2 p.m., his colleagues arrived early. They had already started working. When they saw Wang Jiashi, they all greeted him. Wang Jiashi, who is 32 years old, is also a veteran employee of Xinxianyi. He has a good personality and is really talented, so he has a good relationship with his colleagues. But during work hours, his colleagues only exchanged a few words with him. If it were in the past, they would have surrounded him and asked him how he was, if he had any romantic encounters, and where the gifts for everyone were. Wang Jiashi replied with a smile. He didn't distribute the small gifts in his handbag. He rushed into his office before the boss appeared. This office of about 5 square meters could barely accommodate a small computer desk. All the available space was used up. The bookcase was fixed on the wall, and it was filled with all kinds of books. Although the place was cramped, Wang Jiashi was already very satisfied. Because as long as the door was closed, this was his independent world. It was not a problem for him to smoke. It was the company's special care for a senior employee plus a heavy smoker like him. Wang Jiashi is the editor of Xinjiang's Pop Colors. Pop Colors is a new media online magazine. The app developed by the company has maintained the top 3 market share among similar software in the field of smartphones. Therefore, it is quite famous in the industry and the advertising revenue is not bad. Pop Colors focuses on international and domestic trends, covering fashion elements such as movies, television, music, and popular brands. The target group is mainly young people in the city. Wang Jiashi is the editor of the pop music section. He has been working for 10 years and has been doing the same work. His pen name, Stone Man, is widely known in the circle. The music review articles he wrote often appear on the front page. Opening the window for ventilation, Wang Jiashi habitually smoked a Lanzhou cigarette, holding the mouse in his right hand and skillfully opened the browser to log on to the official website of China Music Chart. He wanted to see the song rankings in recent weeks. As a result, as soon as the web page was opened, Wang Jiashi saw, in the spring, at the top of the list at a glance. Wang Jiashi has a little impression of the song's title. He remembered that it was on the chart before his vacation, but it was at the bottom of the list and he did not have time to pay attention to it. In just over half a month, it rushed to the top of the list. Wang Jiashi felt a little incredulous. The singer The Bionics was unknown in the pop music world. He had never heard of them before. How could their new work rise so fast? There must be something fishy about it. Wang Jiashi bit the filter of the cigarette and turned to the previous week's ranking. In the spring, was still at the top of the list. This immediately aroused Wang Jiashi's strong interest. If there was an element of luck in the top of the list for a week, then continuously dominating the list must be an element of strength. Although the fairness of the original music chart was often questioned in the past 2 years, there was no more authoritative list than it in China at present. He clicked on the Youshare link behind, in the spring. The partners of China Original Music Chart include QQ Music, NetEase Music, Pop Radio, Youshare, and other new online media, so the songs on the list have corresponding website links. The links on Youshare were all music videos, so it was more enjoyable. He clicked on a video page titled, The New Power of Rock and Roll, Wandering in the Spring. The video was uploaded more than a month ago, and the number of views was as high as 1.7 billion plus. Such an astonishing number of views made Wang Jiashi shake his head. Nowadays, new online media like to make a big fuss about data. One click can be blown into 10 or even 100, to the point that it makes people speechless. Not only Youshare, but also QQ Music and NetEase Music are no exception. They often have tens of millions or hundreds of millions of clicks or viewers, using big data to boost the value of advertising. In addition, there are endless means of making hype and promotion, and it is difficult to distinguish between true and false. This more or less ruined Wang Jiashi's mood to listen to songs and appreciate music. He clicked the play button with flagging interest. After 15 seconds of advertising, the music video began. Soon, a hoarse, powerful song began to reverberate in the small room. I still remember the spring many years ago, when I hadn't cut my long hair, I didn't have a credit card, I didn't have her, and I didn't have a home with 24-hour hot water. But I was so happy at the time, although I only had a broken wooden guitar, singing the songs that no one cared about in the street, under the bridge, in the field. 5 minutes later, the music video was over. Wang Jiashi leaned back in his chair in a daze. The cigarette in his mouth was about to burn out. Half of the cigarette ash fell on his body, but he was unaware of it. His eyes showed a complex look of deep shock. Why did he only hear such a song now? His lips moved a few times. Wang Jiashi felt that he wanted to say something, and there was a kind of passion surging in his chest. But before he could say anything, the cigarette in his mouth fell out. It fell right on his crotch. F***ck. The thin fat man's shorts were immediately burned with a hole, almost in the vital part. Wang Jiashi suddenly woke up. He jumped up abruptly, and as a result, his thigh heavily hit the bottom of the keyboard bracket. He almost overturned the computer table. Wang Jiashi really wanted to cry. He quickly reached out and slapped the cigarette, but that was still stuck to his shorts. After a moment of confusion, he sat down again. The music video had finished playing, and it almost caused a tragedy, but Wang Jiashi's mood was not disturbed because of this. His mood was still agitated. After living in the capital for 10 years, this super big city was still unfamiliar to him. The passion and ideals that he once had already disappeared with time. He only persisted in order to survive. Wang Jiashi did not have a house in the capital because he could not afford it. He also did not have a girlfriend because no good girl liked him. The most extravagant thing that he had experienced in his life was the half-month vacation he had just spent abroad. Now listening to this song, in the spring, and watching the story of joys and sorrows in the MV, Wang Jiashi found that the strength he thought was actually fragile. He was deeply moved. After taking a deep breath, Wang Jiashi rubbed his sore eyes and lit a cigarette again. Wang Jiashi was going to write an article for this song and put it in the music recommendation of the new issue of Pop Colors. Of course, he first had to have a comprehensive understanding of the song, such as the singer, the bionics, and the songwriter. However, Wang Jiashi quickly discovered a very interesting thing, which was that the bionics had a total of 3 songs on the chart. In addition to In the Spring, at the top, Reason to Be Strong, ranked 7th, and I Want to Have a Home, ranked 12th, were all written by the same person. Lu Chen. Wang Jiashi was very unfamiliar with this name. He was definitely not a well-known songwriter in the industry. Ordinary listeners usually don't care who the writer of the song is. It's like ordering a meal in a restaurant. If everyone thinks that a dish is delicious, it's enough to remember the name of the dish and the name of the restaurant. They won't ask who the chef is. But Wang Jiashi was not an ordinary person. As the editor of the music section of Pop Colors, he was more interested in the story hidden behind the song. In addition to the singer, the bionics, he also had a strong desire to explore Lu Chen, the writer. What kind of person can write such an excellent rock and roll work? In Wang Jiashi's mind, he constructed a middle-aged man with a face full of vicissitudes and firm eyes. He drifted around the world, he experienced hardships, he was talented, he sang loudly in the wind with his guitar. If one day, I leave quietly, please bury me in the spring. Wang Jiashi typed in the spring plus Lu Chen in the browser search bar. Enter to confirm. The search engine immediately searched for a lot of relevant or irrelevant information. And the first of them was a post in the Sky forum. The unworthy super singer, the inside story of the elimination of Lu Chen, the author of In the Spring. Keywords: super singer, In the Spring, Lu Chen. Chapter 111. Sky Forum is one of the largest BBS forums in China, with more than 150 million registered users. It is known as the online home of Chinese people all over the world. It has opened up 9 main pages, such as news and current affairs, people's livelihood, vision, film and television gossip, gossip chat, literature reading, fashion hotspots, emotional home, etc., with as many as 50+ subsections. Its China International Outlook, domestic vision, entertainment gossip, anecdotes, and other subsections are extremely popular, with hundreds of thousands or even millions of active users. The forum has been established for 20 years, and many internet hot events and internet celebrities have emerged. Therefore, Sky Forum has also become one of the important battlefields of internet pushers. The post that Wang Jiashi clicked on accusing Super Singer of being unworthy of its name was posted in the entertainment gossip section. The ID of the poster is Stray Cats, and it has been a hot post with more than 1 million clicks. The ID Stray Cats is very famous in the entertainment section of Sky Forum. His identity is quite mysterious. No one knows whether he is a man or a woman or what his occupation is. He daily exposes in the entertainment section. Big and small information in the entertainment industry. For example, a certain star has cheated, a certain idol has scolded his fans, a certain big shot is gay. Stray Cats posts have a common feature, that is, they all have something in common, and the information they break out is often genuine, and there are very few groundless or fictitious facts. Therefore, they are regarded as the guiding light of the entertainment section by forum netizens. His posts are often very concerned by everyone. In just a few hours after it was posted, it has reached the top of the board, with more than 10,000 replies. On Monday morning, the number of 10,000 plus replies was amazing. In this post, Stray Cats took out the popular variety show, Super Singer, on Shonan TV and beat it up. The incident that blew up was Lu Chen, who was eliminated in the audition. Lu Chen, male, 22 years old, a Beijing drifting singer, once a resident singer in a bar in Hohai. Just based on these few paragraphs of information, not many people knew who Lu Chen was. Among the 30 million plus people in the capital, there were at least 10 million drifters. Unknown singers were simply as many as the hairs on an ox. In Hohai Sanlitun, throwing a brick could knock over a few of them. However, Stray Cats also pointed out Lu Chen's other identity. Lu Chen was the songwriter of the Bionics, In the Spring, Reasons to Be Strong, and I Want to Have a Home. He was a talented pop music composer. What? You said you haven't heard these 3 songs. Go to the official website of China Music Chart and take a look. In the Spring firmly occupied the top spot in the 3rd and 4th week of July. Moreover, Reasons to Be Strong was currently ranked 7th, and I Want to Have a Home was ranked 12th. The Bionics album, In the Spring, had climbed to 2nd place last week. As a small album with only 5 songs, it is already against the natural order to have such a high ranking on the original music chart, because the Bionics is a new group that has just debuted. Anyone who was not blind would know that their success was inseparable from the 3 songs composed by Lu Chen. Such an outstanding composer was eliminated in the audition of Super Singer. That was simply the biggest joke in the world. Stray Cats also mentioned in the post that Lu Chen not only has outstanding creative talent, but his playing and singing level is also very good, so there is no possibility of him being eliminated because of his poor performance in the audition. In order to prove his words, he attached 2 links to Youshare below. The first link was a clip of Lu Chen singing in the qualifying round of Singing China, and the second was a live video of Lu Chen winning the first place in the top 16 of 32. And the songs that Lu Chen used to participate in the competition were all his own original works. In this regard, Stray Cats commented, "We always say that domestic original works are not good. Most idol stars can only cover and imitate pop music in Europe, the United States, Japan, and South Korea. There are fewer and fewer good composers. But in fact, there are talented people in every generation. It's not that there are no excellent composers, but they can't get the opportunity." Super Singer should have been the most suitable stage for Lu Chen to display his talent, but because of the malicious oppression of some people, he was forced to run to Singing China to fight for his own honor, which is really sad and lamentable. This is also the sorrow of the domestic pop music world. Stray Cats finally said that the reason why he revealed it in the forum was not because he was paid to speak for others. He didn't know Lu Chen, and he had no dealings with Lu Chen. It was someone who told him first, and he was deeply moved by the songs written and sung by Lu Chen, so he took the initiative to fire at Shonan TV. Stray Cats' 2 favorite songs are In the Spring by the Bionics and You Who Sat Next to Me by Lu Chen. This post is very long. The content includes a description of Lu Chen's elimination from the audition of Super Singer, his appreciation and understanding of the song, In the Spring, and a strong attack on the atmosphere of domestic pop music. And there are reasons and evidence, there are videos and the truth. At the end of the post, Stray Cats added a sentence, "Super singer, Lu Chen throws Ling Xiaoxiao at least 3 streets away." It took Wang Jiashi more than half an hour to read the post completely. Of course, it included the time to watch 2 live videos. He read it very carefully, and even browsed a lot of replies. The number of replies to this hot post is very high, and the comment area is refreshed very quickly. Another hype. Ors, it's actually a post by the god of stray cats. I like it. Hahaha, are Shonan TV and Beijing television going to fight? I've already expected it. This material is a bit interesting. I'm curious about who are the people who are suppressing the newcomers. In the spring. My favorite song recently. I looped it dozens of times last night. I've heard of In the Spring. I didn't expect it to be written by a peer. I thought it was originally created by the Bionics. I've seen the competition of Singing China's Top 32. Lu Chen's singing is very good. I support him. With the cat god's move, there will be another bloody storm in Jianghu. Can I say that I like Ling Xiaoxiao? Good material. The Sky Forum is a mix of good and bad people. There are all kinds of replies, some are curious, some are skeptical, and some are supportive, and Wang Jiashi very much agrees with Stray Cats' understanding and appreciation of the song, In the Spring. At the same time, he also thinks that Lu Chen, who wrote the song, is a very good songwriter. If the latter's performance in Singing China is taken into account, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is an outstanding singer and songwriter. However, Wang Jiashi couldn't imagine that a song like In the Spring was written by a 22-year-old young man, shattering the impression he had previously built in his mind. As for the inside story of Lu Chen's suppression, Wang Jiashi has little interest in it. Stray Cats is also said to be a big marketing account. He has seen a lot of gossip posts by the other party, many of which are true, and some of which are deliberately hyped. Even as an insider, he can't completely distinguish between truth and falsehood. But just for the song, In the Spring, itself, Wang Jiashi has too much to say. He closed the web page, opened the work software, and typed the words, In the Spring, in the title. He wrote, I just came back from a vacation abroad, and I haven't recovered from the jet lag yet. Today, I ran to the company to work. Then I heard a song called In the Spring. I think this song should be known and heard by many people, and have their own experience and feelings. It seems that I don't need to say anything more, just listen to the song. But there are some words that are stuck in my heart. It's very uncomfortable if I don't say it. I really want to share it with others, so there is this article. This is a song that seems to be relatively petty bourgeois. It is written about a person who already has credit card, little princess, and a home with 24-hour hot water, and all the pain of the past has gone with the wind. It is a nostalgia for the once difficult and uninterested youth past, as well as a cry and worry for the unknown tomorrow. All of this can be seen from the lyrics of the song. The lyrics of In the Spring are not complicated. It is a simple 3-paragraph structure. The first 2 main songs write about the difficult and happy days of the past, and the second one write about the sad and confused days that are no longer difficult, and the overall climax is the worry for the future and the expression of the ultimate belonging of life. What makes me deeply moved is the strong emotion contained in this song. For a whole morning of working time, Wang Jiashi was writing the same article. He repeatedly wrote and revised, word by word. Several paragraphs were repeated 7 or 8 times because he was not satisfied. It was very difficult for him to write a recommendation article with just 1,000 words. Because when Wang Jiashi tapped on the keyboard, he also tapped his inspired emotions into the text. In the small room, there was only the clicking sound of the keyboard. At the same time, the unworthy, super singer, the author of In the Spring, Lu Qin, was eliminated. This post, which was first posted on the Sky Forum, was also forwarded to his blog by Stray Cats. Stray Cats is not a big V in the Waves blog, but when he had a number of good friends in the blogging circle, he was liked and forwarded by these big V bloggers with hundreds or even tens of millions of fans. Today is the first working day after the weekend. It is the time when office workers and white-collar elites are busy, so the post does not spread fast on the blog, and the number of forwards is not very high. However, during the lunch break, the number of forwards brought by several big Vs suddenly skyrocketed, jumping from the initial dozens of hundreds to more than 5,000, and the number of comments also exceeded 3,000, forming a small hot spot. But this is just the beginning. Like a brewing storm, the wind is blowing. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.